What's good, people? Hang on 1 second. I got something something else going on back here. Give me 1 second. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. How we doing, people? All right. First things first, I'm gonna do a sound off check, okay? Because we gotta make sure our sound is good. All right, guys. How we doing? Listen. All right. Today, first of all, welcome to the episode. I appreciate you guys being here. Just so you know, because I gotta get my John Anthony lawsuit going on. Okay, guys. Listen. Go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and that bell notification if you fucking with the channel. All right. And don't forget, I got another channel, all right, where we talk about other things. We do other reaction, and we also talk about politics and do a little bit of coding as well. All right. So if you want to go ahead and get a little bit on the serious, more educational side, go check out the channel, New World Order. It'll be linked in the description below. Shout out to you guys being here. Okay, guys, this is a very tough beef for me to cover, okay, because this beef, fellas, involve guys in this space that I wholeheartedly respect, okay, and that is Hafeez and Coach Greg Adams. As a matter of fact, we are actually going to be talking about Hafeez because he's going to be the main topic of the show. All right, now before we even get into any conversation whatsoever, I have high respects for Hafeez and the roommates. Okay, Hafeez and Chris. Okay, they have been around for a long time. They're true bona fide OGs. Okay, so these guys have had conversations with big top guys, even outside this space and beyond. All right, so when it comes to Hafeez and Chris and the work that they've put in, we cannot, guys, okay, we cannot go ahead and deny or devalue whatsoever what they put in based off of what we talk about here. Okay, so I have high respects for them, and it's actually shocking that I'm actually going to be covering this, but it just has to be said. Okay, because when you see someone going down a path, okay, as we see all red pill content created eventually end up in, okay, you have to say something. Okay, this is why the checks and balances. Okay, we have checks and balances in government. We should have that within this space too as well. And yes, even guys like Hafeez, all right, needs that check. Okay, so why are we talking about this? And first of all, who is Hafeez? Okay, what's going on? For those of you guys who have been sleeping under the rock, okay, Hafeez and Chris, they have this thing called the Roommate Podcast, and it's probably one of the or was one of the biggest podcast platforms out there when it comes to discussionary topics. All right, more on a serious end, they've had Candace Owens on, they've had that one sex coach on, Kevin Samuels. When Kevin Samuels was on the up and up, they've also had Kevin Samuels on. So, very big, robust platform. And even after post, the success of all these other red pill content creators that started to come in after the roommates, right? You had guys like Fresh and Fit, which the roommates also had a partial collaboration with them, I think, on multiple episodes where they use their studio and they also participated in being interviewed. So the roommates were instrumental in a lot of these big red pill content creators that you guys see today. So based on what we're going to talk about here, make sure you guys keep that in mind. So the roommates has been around, they've been working at it. But as of recently, though, there seems to be an issue with Hafeez. Now, a lot of times you guys will be like, well, Duke, what are you talking about? Okay, because Hafeez, okay, Hafeez, it seems as though watching him, move around, it seems like he's increasingly gotten emotional. Okay, and we're just gonna start it off right there. Okay, now Duke, to say, what do you mean by emotional? Okay, he's a very passionate guy. When you listen to him talk, and when he goes at it and he does different things. Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right, and I'm not gonna disagree with you there. And I respect a lot of his content because he has a lot of shit to say. However, that's also the problem. He has a lot of shit to say, and sometimes he says so much with the same level of emotional fervor that it just starts to come off incredibly preachy, right? Incredibly preachy. A little domineering, a little imposing, right? Especially for guys who are coming in that aren't really used to that, right? And to be fair, that's how his content has been for quite a bit of time. Okay, he's always been that high, energetic, in your face, preachy type dude. Okay, but listen, that was actually part of the reason a lot of people fucked with him, right? A lot of people still fuck with him, right? Because he talks about shit that makes sense, right? References Jordan Peterson a lot. Um, I find that interesting. I find that very interesting. He definitely references Jordan Peterson a lot. But aside from that, and the whole fashion thing he has going on there, I think that's how his content has always been. My bad, my thing cut out for a second. So, like, my thing is, listen, his problem is that he's starting to go a little too far on the preachy end and a little too far on the emotional end, right? And it's starting to seem like that. It's starting to seem like a lot of the content he's been putting out recently. There's a lot of people can say a little bit too much passion that is being infused with a lot of his new messaging coming out, right? And just the new style and kind of the way he's going about things, right? So one can ask, well, what are the most recent things that has happened in Hafeez's life? Well, one might say, well, he's gotten married. Yes. He's been married. Yeah. It's one of those things where, he talks about it, right? And you know what? We have to congratulate that because he practices exactly what he preaches to other men, right? He practices what he preaches to other men. He is married, unlike a lot of guys in this space that talk about it. He is married. However, first of all, I got a couple things. First thing is we have to have a real conversation about once you become married, should you still be eligible to talk to people in this space, especially knowing the trend of marriage going downwards and the trend of being single going up. So I think the big conversation should be if you are married or once you become married, that should kind of disqualify you or at least take you out of the game for talking about relationships and dating and whatnot, because I mean, let's just face it, you're literally out of the game, right? So, and that's the thing, because what happens when you're married is there becomes a disconnect when it comes to having conversations in the single market, right? And that is the thing where a lot of married people don't really understand, especially even newly married people, because men tend to fall in love pretty freaking quickly. Yeah, you do not underestimate that. But I'm just saying is that your opinions could be a little warped. Now, if you have been married and you're into the space and you're single coaching men, right? That's a different story. That's a completely different story. But if you become married, your opinions change and you tend to get a little bit more defensive of the female nature aspect of things, and you start demonizing a lot of the male aspects of things because you don't see things clearly. Think about it, right? It's like a guy who enters a newly started relationship. There's a lot of love in the air, right? And he completely forgets about female nature. It happens to all guys, right? So guys who are in serious relationships, things like that, that's the stuff that tends to happen, right? And firmly, right, I believe in relationships, but I'm not of the kind of, being married or whatnot. I've been there. I've done that, right? I'm more of the type of, having a plethora of choices, right? I'm more of that category, right? And so I'm kind of moving around and, even talking about how to maintain each of those relationships. That's kind of my speed. Hafeez has kind of been a guy on the married side, so he talks about it, and recently he's been about it. But recently there's been a lot more emotion infused, even post marriage situation here, right? He seems to be a little more in your face when it comes to a lot of these things, right? So one could say, hey, marriage does tend to change an individual, right? It does tend to, sway your opinions a little certain ways. So, whatever the hell, right? That Again, not putting that against anything or anyone, or even putting that against the stuff that he's done for the space. I'm just offering food for thought for you guys to think about, and even share your thoughts in the chat as well, what you think about what I just said about married people versus single people actually being a lead in this space. But since then, it seems like there's been a lot of clashing, and now you guys know the manosphere it's kind of filled with a bunch of single guys, right? And a bunch of single guys who also coach a lot of these lonely single guys, okay? And one such other is Coach Greg Adams, okay? Another person I didn't expect to be talking about in this video, but we are talking about it. Coach Greg Adams. You see, recently, Coach Greg Adams got invited to a show, Valuetainment. For those of you guys who don't know, that was a show initially founded by Patrick Bet-David, PBD, right? The same guy that is definitely not running a multi-level marketing scheme at all. No. Patrick Bet-David, completely legit, okay? Not running a multi-level marketing company scheme whatsoever, and he definitely did not get exposed by CoffeeZilla whatsoever. So I digress. But he founded Valuetainment, and now it's gotten so big that it also has different spin-off shows, okay? And one of the spin-off shows was one of the ones ran by this one white dude. He honestly seems like a tool. But what ended up happening was during that live stream, it started to expose a few things, right? And one of the things it started to expose was Hafeez mainly, but not only on the front end in which he portrays himself on YouTube, right? But on the back end too, like who he is as a person, right? Like who he is, behind the scenes, okay? And Coach Greg Adams was one of the other ones that was able to see Hafeez post-marriage behind the scenes. And let me tell you this, he did not like it. So what ended up happening is Coach Greg Adams and Hafeez was on the show. But Coach Greg Adams did not realize that Hafeez was on the show until the show actually started, right? So when he was explaining on the lead attorney, because actually we got a little bit more context with that. He was explaining a little bit on the lead attorney on what went down, right? How he walked into the studio and he didn't feel as though Coach Greg Adams, or not Coach Greg Adams, Hafeez really gave him the level of respect he thought that he kind of deserved, the base level of respect. Not saying that Coach Greg Adams is this high, highfalutin, kind of person, right? But he was explaining how he walked on set. He met up with an individual with a blue suit that he didn't really know was Hafeez until it was Hafeez. Hafeez didn't say a word to him. He didn't even get up and say, yo, what's good? How you doing? The kind of common courtesy, which is fine, right? And then during the live stream, it seems like it got a little heated. Things got a little crazy, okay? Because I don't know if Hafeez got in his feelings or there was something going on, but he seemed a little bit more triggered than normal, all right? And we're all privy to that, right? And it also exposed a lot of the flaws we talked about here earlier in the stream, right? Which was the high energy, right? And the tendency to hog things, right? And you'll see in the live stream that we play. It's gonna gear up, guys. It's gonna be quite the live stream. Matter of fact, this live stream is hard. That's why you see on the title, it says part numero uno, okay? So part two is going to be tomorrow or the day after. I don't know. We're going to come out with part two, but it's a lot because part two, he then later on gets on with it with Pearl, okay? So him and Pearl then go at it, all right? Or is it Pearl or Pearly Things? Just Pearly Things, right? He ended up going there and getting, I mean, honestly, it did not look good. It was not looking good for my boy Hafeez, okay? Your boy had questions. The audio, he says, are we struggling to, oh, hold up. My bad, hold up. How about now? How about now? How about now? Give me a one. Give me a one. Holy shit. I went 15 minutes. 15 minutes nails on a chalkboard. Oh my God. Y'all have been suffering. My bad, y'all. My bad. Holy shit. My bad. I feel so bad. I feel so bad. I'm like Hafeez, kind of like you get preachy on the show, right? My bad, y'all. Hold on. I did not know. I did not know. I did not know. You know, when I go in, people, because like, you know, there are things to be said. Okay, there are things to be said, and they're time crunches. Okay, so I apologize. Yes, finance man, you're right. I gotta look in the chat. I got to. I gotta make that a habit, right? But that's just me. Sometimes when the cameras turn on, your boy's just on go. Okay, he's on go. My bad. I appreciate y'all being patient. What do y'all want? Do you want me to backtrack and restart? Because I could do that. I could do that. I feel so horrible right now. Okay, I appreciate y'all letting me know. My bad. I'll be getting into this. Okay, but you know what? Let me backtrack a little bit. Let me backtrack a little bit. Okay, just a tad bit. Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Hafeez, all right. Hafeez ended up running into Coach Greg Adams on this particular show. Okay, the show was run by Valuetainment, and for those of you guys don't know, the show, all right, Valuetainment was run by a guy named Patrick David. Okay, and this guy. I might be late in the chat. I might be late in the chat. Is the audio good? Some still am I still tripping? Am I still what do you call it? My audio still chalkboardy? Or I might be hold up. Zach Zathur said start over. Okay, I'm gonna start over. Hang on 1 second. But let me know. he says, he said he said he said cancel the stream. Cancel the stream. I can't, dude. We gotta be dedicated here. All right. We gotta be dedicated. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. All right, going back to it. He says start. All right, put a one if you want me to start over. I can start over right now. Put a one. We can start over. It ain't really nothing. Gracious says one. All right, I got no problem with that. Ready? We all go, baby. All right. So here's the thing, guys. We are going to be talking about one of the biggest beef that just kind of snuck out of nowhere, but we didn't really expect. Okay, and that's the situation between Coach Greg Adams and Hafeez. Okay, and guys, I kind of gave you a little spiel on Hafeez, but the audio was kind of tripping. But here's a little Cliff Notes version. Okay, so Hafeez created the roommates. Okay, and you know you got it. Like I said, you got to get this guy the respects he deserves, okay? Because he's done a lot with a lot of these content creators. However, with this live stream that I'm about to play to you guys, okay, it's going to show a little bit about Hafeez's front end and back end kind of situation, okay? And the front end meaning what have we kind of already known about his personality, you know, the whole highly passionate kind of situation, right? And then on the back end, of how of a much of a snob he is, according to Coach Greg Adams. All right, because Coach Greg Adams was talking about how he was on the lead attorney, and we're not on the lead attorney, but he was on the lead attorney talking to the lead attorney about Hafeez's behavior on that. Because if you guys watch that live stream, Hafeez kind of did not look good at all. He did not look good, period, people. All right, he came off highly emotional. He came off very aggressive. He also came off, and I'll let y'all be the judge because we gonna play this live stream here tonight too as well. So it's not just me, but we gonna have y'all be the judge. But he came all overall pushy, right? And I don't know if we talk, you guys heard about what I talked about with the marriage side of things, right? About how I don't think that married guys should be really if as soon as you get married, right, it's over for you in the manosphere space, right? Your message should actually change from getting dates and doing all that stuff to how to keep a wife, okay, and vice versa, how to keep the relationship going. This is something that I think that Rollo Tomasi should be doing, but isn't doing. Instead, he's running around with Fresh and Fit, doing God knows what on these platforms. I digress. Okay. So, anyways, going back to it, right? Hafeez on the back end was talking about wasn't really even talking with Coach Greg Adams, but Coach Greg Adams was talking about Hafeez on how Hafeez kind of snobbed him, right? Because he walked up to Valuetainment, and for those of you who don't know, it's ran by Patrick Big David's side channel, and they were talking about relationships, right? I guess this is the dating side of things, and when it came to the topic of marriage, shit really popped off. I mean, it was crazy. So we gonna cover all of that. Okay. Again, my bad, guys, with the audio. All right. We're getting a new roadcaster. Okay, guys, bear with me. It's just gonna take some time. All right. I tried to make some moves before this weekend, but hey, listen, shipping is it's a little crazy right now. Okay. So guys, on your way in, hit the like button. All right, and don't worry about it. For guys, you're gonna be watching on a replay. I'm gonna timestamp it to where you guys can skip the bad audio. So replay guys, do not worry about a thing. All right, so hold up. Let me share the screen real quick. Yeah, and gracious, I see your thing, and I don't listen. You got to give Hafeez his respects, man, because everyone's kind of dunking on him, and I agree, everyone's kind of going in on him. I think he's going through a tough time, all right, because the nigga's married, okay, and we all know that married guys are usually not the happiest guys. Neither are single guys, okay, but married guys, when you're in relationships, there's a whole different set of problems that you have to deal with, okay, and maybe it is what it is. Maybe he's going through some stuff, right? We don't know, but we know that there's been a different change in what his attitude when it comes to what he's preaching. All right. I mean, even the stuff that we're going to talk about on this live stream here, he's going in on like the red pill and how the red pill is. He almost wants to see it burn to the ground type bullshit, right? And here's the thing: you guys might be thinking, well, Duke, right? You criticize a lot of content creators in the red pill space. So wouldn't you say you want to see the red pill burn to the ground? No. No, I do not actually. No, I do not. We want to purge the red pill from a lot of these fraudulent motherfuckers. They're not even just purging them because I don't think they should be gone for this space. What I mean by purge is the ideas that are harmful to young men and they don't have any real world value. That's the stuff that we got to purge out of there. Because the thing is, a lot of these red pill ideas, the new age ideas, it is just it's all a gimmick and a grift to make money, and that's the shit that we call out. Not saying that y'all can't make money. That's not what we're saying at all. We're just saying that you guys need to be a little bit more transparent in what you're doing. Okay, if you're really out here to help these dudes, go ahead and help them. But if you're not and you guys are pushing an agenda, well, you also have to let that be known because these men are in a vulnerable state. That's why it's serious. I mean, for Pete's sakes, Andrew Tate, somebody did a video in Andrew Tate's war room or whatever it is, hustler group, where you pay $5 to get in. Okay, $5 to get in, and it's nothing but filled with people who are basically in the exact same level because it promises that you're going to speak to millionaires and learn all these tools to grow and be rich and whatever it is. But all it is just a glorified fucking what do you call it, community hub or forum, right? Community forum where a bunch of these other Tate fans come together and talk about being rich. And a lot of the ideas that they have you think about to make you get there to be rich, right, are basic bitch shit that doesn't make it. And the video we're going to cover in next episode is basically be on a guy who went through that entire course and didn't get anything out of it, right? He even was talking to people who took his $5,000 course, people. All right. And they're not getting anything out of it. These are people who are using credit cards. They could be paying the rent, but they're spending it on a war room where they could potentially multiply their money, but it's nothing but lies. Okay. So when we see young men going in and spending thousands of dollars on these unnecessary courses, just to get these other red pill guys rich, we have to talk about that, okay? Because if you're really out here to help men, your value and your products, well, I should say your products will match your value. You can't just come out here and talk about spitting all this shit and being real, Andrew Tate, and then sell a $5,000 course filled with nothing, okay? So that's the big difference. So it's not, we don't want the red pill to burn to the ground. We just don't want a lot of young men who eventually buy into a lot of these bullshit to wake up one day realizing that they've been bamboozled by the heroes they used to follow. That's our goal, okay? And we laugh at these guys in the meantime because we just think a lot of this shit is hilarious, okay? And if you guys don't look at it as such, where you been sleeping? There's no bigger entertainment than watching these guys just kind of throw shit at each other for fun, right? I don't know if it's for fun, but some of these guys get serious. I got sidetracked like a motherfucker. Hold up. My bad, guys. My bad. Okay. My bad. Let's get on with it. Okay. This is the Valuetainment channel. And things are about to pop off.
But, you know, women have a voice in this perspective as well. Yeah. And they're kind of being the complaining behind the scenes. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I want everybody to understand. I'm going to look into this camera right here, so I hope you see me very, very well here. I want everybody to understand and remember that everything I say from this point, she backed it up. All right. So it's basically zero. All right. You have no hope, no chance. Past the 20 years, and that comes from experience. It also is the experience.
You have no chance of passing 20 years, you're saying?
No. You can pass 20 years. Yeah. You'll probably be roommates, and you'll probably be overweight in a busted Pillsbury biscuit can, or you'll probably be with the exception to the rule. But the data shows us, plus the experience that she expressed, that it's a very difficult thing. And this is what I want men to know.
Yeah,
it is very difficult. Many people will simplify it for you. They will say, oh, just do this and do that. And they will lead you on a wild goose chase. And that's my perspective. That's all that I offer. I tell men to not get married, especially when you don't have leverage. However, I also tell you, do not listen to people who simplify this. This is a very complicated thing that most people fail at miserably.
Got it.
And this is what I want people
to understand. Let me tee up.
And this is what I respect about Coach Greg Adams. And a lot of people have been sending me emails to do a video on him, like saying that he's a fake and he's a fraud and whatnot. I think he's very he's very shrewd when it comes to making money. So you'll see him on different platforms and things like that, especially when you see these other content creators beefing. He's one of the other content creators you'll see in the space that kind of still does business with each one of them. So he's very shrewd when it comes to his paper. But you know, I respect what he says because at the end of the day, he keeps it real, right? You can't go after him. You can't talk about a man. What are you going to say, right? He says that at the end of the day, you shouldn't listen to people who simplify this, right? And a lot of the guys in the red pill space, they tend to simplify a lot of things when it comes to relationships. Now, I think Coach Greg Adams errs towards the you know, the little the MGTOW, kind of, walking and taking your ball and going away kind of crowd, right? I mean, he still mingles and does that stuff. I think he airs more towards that crowd than towards actually, fielding relationships or building strong relationships with multiple people. So I don't think he really dines with that. But realistically, the fact that he puts it out there saying, hey, I think you guys should, just don't listen to people that simplifies that. There's always that caution, and that's the shit that I respect. So he's right on that.
Because you used a few things there about not getting married. You said sometimes
you don't have leverage.
Okay, if you don't have leverage, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And you talk about turning into roommates. Well, this guy is the roommate, the host of the Roommate channel.
Right.
When you're hearing this, you've been married 1 year. And by the way, this guy's a sharp, informed, very intentional guy. My assumption is he didn't just trip and fall into marriage.
He's seen myself before.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you've been very, you're a calculated dude. 100%. Okay. So when you're hearing Greg say this, and even when you're hearing Ali say this, how are you processing this information?
No, this is really good, and I'm excited about how this conversation can develop because I think you've maybe. Did you react to me and AMS's conversation a couple of years ago about marriage?
I didn't react to it. I didn't do a reaction video. Okay. But I made a comment about it.
Okay, you made a comment about it. Okay, so to me, I'm really excited about it, but it's also key to talk about experience. Mm-hmm. Experience shapes your view, right?
Yeah.
So a girl who's been abused by a lot of different men, she's gonna have a very cynical leaning view towards men. A man who's been cheated by business partners will have a very cynical view about having potential business partners. So it's also unique to talk about we have to be honest.
Yeah.
Nobody here is 100% objective. That's one of my arguments always with red pill stuff. They say they're speaking the truth. You're not a robot. you know, you have your biases, right? Call it for what it is. We all have our biases. I have biases. You have biases. Coach has biases. As much as we think we are, we have to be 100% honest to the people about our biases. If I'm an individual and I was divorced and I had a difficult experience via marriage, I'm going to have a biased opinion via marriage. Allie has a positive experience with marriage, so she can have a bias towards, well, great marriages can work, right? So similar to me, the people I admire the most, the people I look up to, are married people. Patrick Bet-David, Jordan Peterson, my father, Pastor Mark Driscoll, people who I look up to the most, right? Long-term marriages, the people that I celebrate a lot. Long-term marriages. My father and mother have been married for over 30 years. Great, healthy marriage. So that's my opinion. My Pastor Heidi Lewis, been married over 25 years. So that's my worldview. And so to me, hearing what he's sharing, there is truth in that. Everything what everyone's going to share is going to be truth in it. Yes, if you, like, my dad told me a very powerful point. I love my father. He's such a wise older man. He said the most important decision you'll ever make in your life is the one you marry. Yeah. And it can go one of two ways. And this is what I want the guys to understand. We're not teaching naivete, which is, oh, marriage is a perfect thing and you just meet the one and live happily ever after. And there's no issues, there's no divorces. We're not teach naivete. Marriage can be the worst thing in your life. It can be an absolute living hell. And I guarantee you, you can go for days and for days. And you know so many different stories about people which marriage is an absolute living hell. But we don't want to teach being naive about the realities. But also, we don't want to teach nihilism. Right, the other end of the extreme. Marriage is the worst thing possible, and the women are out to get you.
Okay, so here's the problem. Okay, I get what he's saying, but nigga, we still in the introduction. You were supposed to introduce yourself, but boy, like, holy shit, you going in right now, bro. Like, you okay, bro? I get it, right? And this is one of the things that we talk about with Hafeez earlier, right? It's like, bro, like, say your point and then just like let other people chime in. It's one thing to have your show and then you can go in and you can go deep, right? No pun intended, right? But like, realistically, bro, when you on other shows and you just going in and you just droning on and on and on, bro, I get what you're saying, but you're losing me, bro. You've made, and this is the problem with Hafeez, right? He makes a point and then he stretches that point. He just keeps just going into that point. And it's like, bro, we kind of get it, dog. Like, all right, but pay attention to what he starts to say next.
And everyone's miserable, and everybody's roommates, and everybody's this, because there are some individuals, such as with Alex, communicating.
Finance man, no, people, it's not getting mad at him and talking too much. At least I'm not getting mad at him and talking too much because I talk a lot. It's like going on, it's recognizing when you're on a show. I just said that earlier, right? It's one thing when he's on his own show and he wants to go deep on the subject. You can go deep on the subject, bro. But like when you're on other show, you got to show respect to the other people. Listen, I'm a loud, bombastic kind of guy, bro. But like, I also have enough social awareness to know not to be too domineering, okay? Like, I know not to be too crazy, okay? And that's the problem. We're not seeing a lot of that. And the thing is, you know, Hafeez is used to having that type of skill because remember, a lot of his content was interviewing people, a lot of big name people, and he wasn't like this when he had to share platforms, even when he does stuff with Chris, right? A little bit when he did stuff with Chris, but not to this extent. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Who are in happy, healthy long-term marriage, right? So you don't want to be naive, you want to be nihilistic, you want to be as real as possible. Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. And my biggest thing is that I understand that marriage is a very difficult thing to get right. And the same thing is like, I love how what you do is marriage and money, right? I think we're gonna be talking about those two things today. Adam, you're a 1% man financially. Right? That means 99% of people are trying to get to where Adam is. Most people live paycheck to paycheck. They're struggling. Their lives suck when it comes to money. Most people are struggling, but they're trying to get where you are. That's how I view relationships. Most people are in really sucky relationship. Most people, it's a day-to-day war, hell, the way work is, the way the gym is. But then there are some people who are having it at the highest of level. The same way nobody says, oh, well, most people are not going to be in the 1%, so screw it. You should even try. It's only, 90% of businesses end in 10 years. You should even try. We say, if somebody's going to succeed, why not you? Which is why I love what you're doing. If someone's going to be rich, why not you? If someone's going to make money, why not you? If someone can have a great podcast, why not you? So for me, I acknowledge that the top of the mountain is rare. I acknowledge that. But what I also acknowledge is that if somebody's going to win, why not it be you? And how can we help as many men as possible?
Look at Coach Greg Adams. What is he looking at? Hey, Coach, what you looking at, bro? Hey, Coach, what's up there? Who's up there, Coach? Let me know what you see. Like, Coach is checked out. And for you guys don't know why Coach is checked out, or he has this puzzled look on his face, why Hafeez is kind of like going in, I got to bring you guys back into I got to give you guys a little bit of context, okay? And to provide that context, we have this episode that he did with the lead attorney, okay? And the episode he did with the lead attorney, it kind of exposed a lot, because he exposed what happened on the background leading up to this interview. So guys, I know we're taking a little bit of intermission because like my dude was droning on, and I had that on like 1x speed, okay? 1x plus speed, okay? So it was moving fast and it was still going on, but I have to have you guys understand the backstory of where a lot of this shit is coming from. So let's play this real quick.
Shout out to Coach Gay.
What's going on, brother?
Man, listen, thank you so much for blessing the channel.
One type of interview. And as we got closer to the date, as I was flying out, I said, I'm just curious who's going to be on the interview, right? Is it going to be me, just me, or is it going to be Andrew Tate? Is it Tate, or is it going to be a panel? Unfortunately, I didn't know about this SOS cast that Adam was doing. I didn't know about it. So they told me it was going to be an OnlyFans woman and another young lady, I think by Femme Sapien or something like that. Yeah. So, and I said, all right, so it looks like it's going to be a panel, 2 women and me.
So you already know, it's like, here we go, right?
Yeah, I already knew. Yeah, I was like, okay, we're gonna have a little bit of balance. I'm going against an OnlyFans girl or whatever. I did a little research on her, and I was like, okay, this is what it's gonna be. And the day of the interview, I did a live stream, and I was like, I'm running late. I got to get there. I drive there. It's a rainstorm. Get there, and they're ushering me into the green room, and all of that, right? So normally, I tell my audience, anytime somebody tells me, like, if I go into a bank and they say sit right here, and I never sit down. I'm like, don't tell me what to do. I always just walk around, So I'm walking around, and there was a room. And Hafeez was sitting in it, but I didn't recognize him. I didn't expect him to be here. It was just a guy in a blue suit, that suit that you saw. And but it was a room with glass windows on this side, right? And there's an aquarium over there. And he's sitting, and it's dark. All you can see, I can't really see his face. So I walked to the door, and I'm looking around. He didn't acknowledge me. He didn't look up. He didn't say anything. And
really?
I'm like, it's like normally when you see your brother, you'd be like, "What's up, bro?"
Absolutely.
But he said he didn't move a muscle. So I'm standing there like, okay, that's strange. Go to the bathroom, go back to the green room. And the guy was like, you want some drink, water, snacks? Yeah. And by the way, they did a good job hosting me and all of that stuff. I appreciate them for doing an interview. Bottom line is they plug in this monitor and it said guests to the SOS cast. It said Ali Ray, me, and then Hafeez's name was on the screen. I'm like, what? I didn't know he was going to be there. So I was like, that's interesting. 30 minutes later, they bring me into the studio and they're all sitting down. Like they were all ready. And that was
all ready to go.
They were ready to go. Here we go. And so by the time I sit down, a couple minutes, we're live. So
wow.
Yeah.
So you just kind of just jumped in, right? Like
just jumped in. And no preparation, especially for him. I was kind of like, man, this is a shock. But I didn't need to be prepared. I was calm and I knew what I was going to speak about.
I mean, you've been doing this for years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got it, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off. I'm sounding like a Hafeez over here.
No, you're the heavyweight. You're the heavyweight. I'm trying to listen to you. Yeah, because you. I mean, the stuff that you say is so real. And that's kind of what I pointed out in my last, when I did a review of y'all stuff. I was talking about the difference between what Hafeez was saying, and I was saying it was so inspirational and aspirational, so in the clouds, versus what you were saying, which is like so like in the trenches, so detailed, like where the rubber hits the road, right? Yeah. And if you're gonna have a real conversation, you need to be down there in the dirt, in the trenches where the rubber hits the road. Anybody can talk about aspirational, what should be or what shouldn't be, but you don't get anywhere.
Yes, talking points were limited to probably 5 minutes. It was just him repeating that over and over again. And it's like, okay, we get it. We get the point that you want us to change our content and torpedo ourselves over here.
That is exactly right.
Like, stop making money, torpedo your whole content by bringing the opposite view and so forth and so on. I'm like, it would be different if he brought that perspective privately, but I think that's just something he's trying to do publicly, as to try to maybe discredit discredit. I'm not sure what he's trying to do. It's confusing because this is one of the biggest meltdown in YouTube history. Him,
oh my God,
him, and then he follows it up with just pearly things, and I'm like, bro, I can't deal with you. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're attempting to do, and so maybe he needs to take a couple of days off, maybe a week, and rehab his philosophy.
And I just wanted to give you guys that content because we are about to watch that meltdown unfold right now. But you guys had to absolutely get that context, okay? You have to. All right. Let me know how we're doing on audio. Shout out to you. KN Byam says we don't need to know about his wife. She's a civilian, so please leave her out of this. What are you talking about? Who's talking about his wife? We just said he's married. No one's talking about. Are you talking about the photo we had? Is that what you're talking about? This photo? This photo was on a news article or what do you call it? Article. It was on. I found this on Google. This is public. He made his wedding public. You understand that, right? There are a bunch of photos on there. Like you can find one. Like I'm just putting context. No one's talking about his wife. All right. So she right off the bat, if he wanted to keep her private, you don't make your wedding and then you don't make your relationships public. You don't write articles about that shit, or you don't have articles written about your marriage. What are you talking about, Kate? I mean, listen, it's not. She's out there, bro. Trust me. You even look up Hafeez. The next search term on Google is Hafeez wife. Hafeez wife marriage, right? Hafeez marriage, bro. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Nobody's like, I mean, we're not even talking about her. Matter of fact, when I even started the stream, I respect Hafeez. I do. I respect Hafeez, and I don't think we should take away from what he's done based off of this meltdown we're about to see here. I think it's important for us to cover this meltdown, right? But I don't think we should judge him based off of that. But no, like we not dissing his wife. That's not stuff we do here. Okay, so make sure you have a clear distinction between the two. Let's continue.
Everybody won't be able to get there, but how many people can we help get there? And that's what to me matters the most.
Gotcha.
Preach. I love that.
Now, when you hear something like this, obviously he's sort of saying, all right, I hear you, coach. Your marriage didn't work. You got out, thank God, before the 10-year mark. So you'd probably be a little bit more spiteful than you are. I'm not saying that you're spiteful, but you'd be even more spiteful if you're paying a ridiculous amount of alimony and everything that you'd be paying. But is there anything wrong with what he's saying? He's basically saying, I hear you, coach. It ain't easy out there, brother. Like, life's tough. Marriage is tough. Making money is tough. Things are tough. But don't tell me that I shouldn't get married, or don't tell me that I can't have a successful marriage. How do you process that?
I don't think anyone says do not get married. I think they caution people to say do not get married. If I say do not get married without leverage, that is a position, right? That you can change. Thus, if you read my book, it says once you get to that position, you can then make the decision. You'll probably come out better than going in it without it. However, this is what I will always say. When men do find that solution does not work out, they are left alone. There's nobody to help them. So people encourage people, hey, why not? Give it a try. But when you go bankrupt, when you lose your kids, when your kids are taken from you, when the courts kind of punish you for making this decision or punishes you for being a slightly better, higher earner, then nobody's there with information. Nobody's there with context. No one's there to help them. And I believe, not feel, I know, understand, believe, and I have evidence to show that men are left alone when they don't succeed in this endeavor. And that is the void that I feel, because I can tell you, hey, men are alone in this situation. Men are homeless. Men are thinking about eating guns. Men are thinking about, they have no way out. Men are losing big time, and we're losing a fraction of men due to manipulation, due to people trying to, they may be hurt. A woman might be hurt in a marriage, or she might feel that she's not being appreciated. And then she throws a grenade in the room. What happens then? See, that's where I come in. I get to show you what happens when the grenade is there. And I also encourage you, you're not alone in this. A lot of people come to my content and they find out, oh, you too? See, before, as I said, 70 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, there was nobody presenting this side of the argument.
This side, I see what you're saying.
This right here. Nobody, they just left men alone. They said, well, you must not have been hitting it right, or you must not have loved it right, or you must have abused the kids. That's what she said. She said that you were, and nobody came to this position. So listen, there was a void open and I ran right.
Yeah. So when you talk about leverage, break down what you mean by leverage. Are you talking about in a marriage before you get married? You're talking about a prenup. You're talking about a set of rules, guidelines. What's this leverage you're referring to?
Well, a lot of men, a lot of men are looking to be loved, right? So a lot of men, the transaction is always men give, women receive. So in this instance, once men do a lot of giving, they may sacrifice, they may risk things, but they're risking the little things that they have. They don't know what they're going to lose in the future, right? So by that point, they will probably avoid a prenup. They might say, I don't need a prenup. I don't have anything. Right. And so he'll get married. He'll build some things. Once the commitment is made and once the investment is made, then he has something. So then when they say, well, you better love her right, you better screw her right, you better appreciate her right, and he says, well, it's still not working, she's not happy. Well, then he knows he can measure how much he's going to lose because he now has leverage, but the leverage is attached to a marital contract. And then at that
Listen, he's making so much freaking sense. It's not even funny, man. He really is. You can't deny him for that, right? And this is why I rock with Coach Grant Adams, because he talks about he literally is the middle of the road, and he lets you know he gives you the cautionary warnings, right? And that's the thing, right? When we talk about a lot of these guys in the Redpill space, because I don't know if Hafeez is going towards targeting grifters right now and going after the fakes in the Redpill space. I really don't know if that's what he's doing, if he's coming over to the content cop type of thing side of things. But like realistically, I think when we talk about the red pill guys and the bastardization of the message, I think we have to talk about the value versus what the benefit is to the young men. Okay, so for instance, when you have some guy like Richard Cooper charging somebody $3,000 an hour, $3,000 an hour, okay, just for him to talk to you for 15 or however many, or no, not 15, just for him to read off of Rollo Tomasi's book, right? That's what he does. $3,500 is what he's going to charge you, okay? And the value to what the guys are getting to that, it doesn't make any sense. That's not justifiable. So that's fair to call it out. But when you're looking at someone and what the Coach Gary Adams is trying to say, I mean, when Hafeez kind of goes in, it's like when we talk about these red pill guys, when he's talking about don't get married, I see where he's coming from, right? Because there's a lot of caution to this. And realistically, opinions change on this too as well. Because here's the thing. We talk about relationships, and listen, part of the thing is I still believe that at the end result, men want relationships. It's the type of relationship that you want is what you have to really take time to think about, right? Monogamy may be your thing. Polygamy might be your thing, right? Or you know, what do you call it? They're different styles, all right? There are people who like to be, you know, walk like a dog or some shit like that. If that's your style of relationship, right? You like fucking animals or whatever it is, dressing up in animal costumes and having sex with each other, then go ahead and do that. All right. There are different types of relationships. But here's the thing, right? At the end of the day, guys are going to want relationships, okay? And right now, the biggest ones that we've had as a reference point, the biggest social status of relationships that we've had at this point is marriage, right? And here's the thing, right? For a while, it worked when the laws were more favorable, okay? When you marry a woman, she becomes a housewife. The guy goes out and makes all the bacon, right? He makes all the home work money and brings home, right? And when he comes home, he's supposed to, you know, take care of things. And when he does come home, his wife is also supposed to take care of things, right? Because his wife doesn't need to go to work. Now, here's the thing. Times change, and times will forever change. The government realized, or not the government, but corporations force the government to realize that they can make more money tax-wise if both parents were at work, right? And that's the new economy that we have today. And spearheaded by feminism. Thank you. That's what we have today, right? So women have to work. Women are independent, right? And because of that, it's really fucked up the relationship of marriage, right? Particularly marriage laws, because marriage laws have not kept up with the new wave of like no fault divorces and the new wave of marriage how it is today, the new economy, right? The laws have not kept up, right? The laws are still in the female favor when the women were still at a disadvantage, right? Because if she got divorced and the man made all the money, well, guess what? She's stuck up on her own, right? So she needed some kind of alimony or some kind of settlement just to help her get up on her feet until she gets married again. It's not the same day. We're in a different day and age. So things like alimony, things like child support, especially when the guy wants to be in a kid's life, and child placement, right? Child custody, things like that, that has to be revisited. All of that is the biggest problem with marriage today, right? But blaming a lot of this stuff, guys not getting married, or like on the red pill message, that's not that's not it, bro. A lot of the guys in Redpill are saying you have the option, just like Coach Greg Adams is saying, you have the option to get on with it. But realistically, like the preferred way of doing things based off how the world is moving right now, it's preferable not to get married. And I kind of agree with them on that. I really do. Build as many relationships as you like, but it's not worth it to be married, for at least for most people. Right? But let's continue.
Point, he could say, well, I don't want to lose my 2 or 3 kids. I don't want to lose my house. I don't want to lose my car. He knows then, and also he has no protection. He didn't get a prenup because he didn't have leverage. This is what a lot of young men in their 20s don't understand because they don't know what they're going to lose. They can't measure it. Once you're 40 and you've accumulated things and you have leverage, you have position at a company, and a woman says, hey, I want to marry you, and you will know what you're going to lose. And at that point, you can make a conscious decision whether they engage in a state-funded marital contract.
Yeah.
That's leverage. Most men get married without the leverage.
Did you have a prenup when you got married?
I was married at 28, 27, engaged at 27, 28. So absolutely not.
I did not have one.
Nope.
And if you ever get married again, would you get a prenup?
I would advise
Clearly,
every
yes.
man. I mean, listen, a prenup is somewhat of a protection. It's just something to fight over in court. If there's something to be there, she could just fight it, and now you lost on the money, right? But I did not. I would encourage men to do so if they want to.
Ali, when you got married, did you have a prenup?
No, and honestly, like just hearing you speak, I feel like you come from a place that obviously had a negative experience with stuff, or you kind of, I guess I can't imagine ever looking into a marriage, like even going into the thought of marriage, maybe because I was so young and I didn't have to. With so much like guardedness. I feel like going into a marriage and falling in love with someone, there's a little bit of a leap of faith there. And so sometimes when you make it too transactional, I don't know. I feel like for me, it would take a lot away. And maybe again, because I was so young, we were kids ourselves. We didn't have anything to protect. But I feel like maybe that mindset is what's quite toxic for people that aren't able to find love, is when you constantly live in that, well, she might screw me over, I got to protect this. Like, how can you ever fully let yourself like go and submit to just being in love and like letting that guard down? And I think women have a lot to lose too. It's not just men, you know, obviously.
Right. But we don't speak from the women's perspective because we're men.
Yes.
But we also have to understand people go homeless over this. People lose their lives over this. This is serious. It's like saying I joined the military and I was just hoping that I came out of the war not injured, not disabled, not ruined mentally. And then, I don't know why you would go over there and think that. Well, this is a battle. Well, the battles are won and lost in these.
It's not a battle though. I think this is where the language has.
Before Hafeez gets into it, right? I think the lady has a point, but she also is coming from a point of naivete. All right, she's just being naive. Okay, because I'll tell you this: I was in a relationship. I was married when I married young and dumb. Okay, I married when I was young. I was making a ton of money selling cars. Okay, and I thought this was it. I thought this is what you do, right? And what ended up happening was, you know, I got caught up in a certain situation, and you got to go ahead and pop the ring, right? What ended up happening was divorce happened after 3 years, right? And it is what it was, right? Everything was gone. But not being against relationships or not even holding it against her, right? Or even what's going on with my ex or anything like that. But out of that came growth. Like I knew that, hey, next time I go into a relationship and I'm going to commit to somebody, right? I'm gonna do a little bit more vetting. I'm gonna do and once I've done a lot more vetting in terms of finding the kind of woman that I want, right? I'm also gonna make sure that I do my part into not making the same mistakes that I made in my last relationship, because there were lots of mistakes that you make when you're in a marriage. Because when you marry young, there's not a lot of stuff you don't know a whole lot. You know, you get married, everyone's telling you to do that shit because you're in a certain spot in life, but no one's really there's not a guided playbook to do this stuff, right? How to make her happy, how she makes you happy, right? How a household's supposed to work, right? We're still even operating off of this old manual from the 60s, from the 50s, right? Even way back when. We don't have a new updated playbook with the new economy on how relationships are supposed to work. So when shit falls by the wayside, bro, you got to understand it's listen. It's not being against marriage, because I think that people who are fully against relationships, fully against getting together, I think you're missing the different aspects of human nature, because there's some men who are going to dabble in the red pill and then they're going to go out, find a woman, make her a wife, and then go out and do their thing, right? Like as John Anthony lawsuit, apparently he's married too. So I mean, a bulldog mindset, you know, he's married too, right? So a lot of at some point, every red pill nigga, all right, will find that one woman that just does it for him, and they gonna haul off and put a ring on it. I guarantee you, it's gonna happen. Okay, so like no one's saying don't get married. No one is saying that whatsoever. It's just saying that if you do decide to get into another relationships, you actually have to be you have to proceed with caution, bro. Like either get married without the government involved, or if you're going to get involved with the legal paperwork, make sure you fill out the prenup so you can protect yourself. And it's not protecting yourself against really necessarily your wife. It's protecting yourself against the government, because the contract you're signing isn't a marriage contract between you and your girl, right? Between both y'all are doing that with the ring already. By you giving her a ring, that's a contract in itself if she accepted. No. The marriage contract you sign is with the government, okay? That's the kind of shit that when the government steps into your relationship, they do things like child support because they get a cut. They do things like alimony because they get a cut. So when you start to get into that level, proceed with caution. Like you have to figure out what your assets are and your liabilities and move forward as such, because if you don't, you will get fucked over. Like, marriage is not a fucking joke, people. It's not this is not one of those things to play around with. Okay. Lycos podcast, shout out to you for the $2 yeah. I wouldn't say he is telling half truth, but when he says, yeah, and we kind of broke that down a little bit here too as well, right? Just listen, I'm not saying fully get away from relationships because Coach Greg Adams kind of errs on that side, but I do say, like, listen, you're gonna find that girl. It's inevitable. There's gonna be that one girl that's gonna do it for you. Just ask a lot of these red pill dudes. Eventually, it happens. Okay, they're just gonna catch their eye. I'm just saying that if you're going to entertain a legal binding agreement with the federal government or state government, wherever you're married in, right? You need to make sure you put in protections to protect yourself when it's time, because all marriages inevitably will fail. Okay, either till death do you part or divorce. It's just a pick and struggle. All right, Hafeez, let it rip, buddy. Let it rip.
Has to be used correctly, and I think to me, I love the balancing act that's going to happen today, because I think what's going on is that I understand. So there's this idea of Eastern versus Western marriage. Let's just say Greg is on the East, she's on the West. Eastern marriage is all about logic. Does it make sense? Arranged marriages, right? Two families, two worldviews, two ideologies. Doesn't matter how you feel. It matters. Does it make the most sense?
They're the most successful, by the way, arrangement.
No. Okay. Time out. Because life success. This is where your super chat starts to come in handy, okay? Because I'm gonna do another episode on this. Listen, when he's talking about Eastern versus Western, okay, I get it. But Coach Greg Adams is about to say that arranged marriages is a more successful marriage, and I'm gonna disagree with him on that. That's where I kind of disagree. I do not agree with arranged marriages whatsoever. I think that the woman, should be free to make her choice as per as the man. I think it works out that way. However, right? Why do I also want to kind of strategically speak out against a lot of these arranged marriage stuff, right? Especially when they talk about Eastern relationships. A lot of this red pill stuff, if you guys have noticed, right? Where are the trends going? The trends are starting to, flow Eastern, especially with a lot of young, sexually frustrated men who are flooded into this space. And not just the ones who are sexually frustrated. That's just one half of it. The other half of it are guys who've gone through relationships, gone through negative and had negative experiences, whether it's marriage, whether it's just normal relationships, going through divorce, being cheated on, et cetera, right? So a lot of these guys are coming in, and they're coming in from a place of confusion, pain, just trying to find answers. Okay. Now, a lot of these guys, what you've noticed, the rhetoric is moving Eastern when it comes to the lifestyle, right? Like having a haram, right? Like when it comes to even the religion, right? What do we call it? We call it the Eastern religion. Well, you can call it Middle Eastern, more like the Islamic type of religion. And that's where they talk about arranged marriages here, okay? And guys, I've spoken against this before. I've said this in multiple videos, okay? If you start to follow the trend, a lot of this red pill shit, it starts to flow towards Islam. Like, a lot of this shit is flowing towards Islam. Now, listen, okay, before y'all motherfuckers come after me, I'm not being a religious phobe. I am a proud Christian, okay? I believe in the Lord and Savior. I believe he saved me, all right? And he's going to save as many people as possible. I know it turns a lot of people off to talk about it, okay? I got my baptism card, okay? I'm straight, okay? I'm going to heaven, okay? At least as I can foresee, all right? So I'm not being a religious phobe or anything like that. I'm just saying, if you notice, a lot of this shit is flowing towards Islam. Now, you want to wonder why the government is watching a lot of these red pills, a lot of these incel motherfuckers, right? And it's because a lot of them, they vibe a lot with the Middle Eastern and Islamic traditions and how they live, like almost like Sharia type shit, right? Where the woman stays in the house, the woman kind of has not a whole lot of rights, but maybe some. I don't know. It's crazy how they do it in these different things, right? I mean, they still stone women, right? And some of them believe in marrying 13-year-olds. That's some of these arranged marriages he's talking about over here. So I don't fucking agree with that, because I mean, thinking it's okay to marry a 13-year-old, that's pretty fucking sus, if you ask me. I don't care what fucking religion you believe in. That's fucked up. That in my book, give the girl a chance to fucking live first before you trap her in a goddamn relationship with a fucking grown-ass man 30 years her senior. Like, that's fucking sick, right? So a lot of this shit with a bunch of angry males, they're flowing towards that radical type of shit, bro. Just peep this, guys. Listen, if you don't believe me, bro, if you don't believe me, get you a YouTube, create you a YouTube account, like just a throwaway account, right? And start following a lot of these Redpill shit, right? Eventually, what's gonna happen is the YouTube algorithm is gonna pick it up, and what it's gonna start doing eventually is gonna start feeding you a bunch of shit from like a lot of this like Islamic type of rhetoric. I'm getting that in one of my feeds right now that follows a lot of this Redpill bullshit. Okay, I'm getting a lot of Islamic shit. So I'm just saying, bro, like this arranged marriages type of bullshit, like this idea of listen, I think that we should teach men how to deal with relationships in the modern age rather than forcing girls to like or forcing guys, to look at things towards like the Eastern way of doing things, right? I mean, I prefer Western way, but like Western mixed with a little bit more, what do you call it? Responsibility type shit. Okay, not the other way around. I'm sorry, I kind of went in. It's just a weird ass. Maybe it's just me. And maybe it's a weird ass conspiracy that I'm seeing right now, but I'm just saying, bro, like a lot of this red pill shit, it starts to flow towards that radical shit, bro. And I don't want to know what happens when a bunch of angry young males start to find Islam. Okay, I just don't want to know.
We can talk about that in the future.
Sure. Yeah.
So Greg comes from that mentality of, if you're gonna get in this agreement, you need to write out the agreement clear as day. What does this entail? What does it get? If you leave, you get this. If you leave without this, you don't get nothing. Like, it's a very systematized business kind of contract, because it's a business contract.
Correct.
Because, and this is why when you were talking about the idea of like when men fail in marriage, they lose everything. That's wrong.
No, I didn't say they lose everything, but they lose an awful lot.
Let's stop. That's still wrong.
Well, why is it wrong?
Because, let me tell you why. Because when men lose at anything in life, they lose a lot. You lose your job. Who's gonna come save you? If you screw your friends over, like as a man, that's the name of the game. You lose, you're gonna lose a lot. You fail, you're gonna fail a lot. So I'm not saying that it's wrong, like marriage doesn't count. I'm saying marriage is a part of all the things as a man where you cannot get wrong, which is why I agree with the message you're giving at times. That's why you got to be 100% serious. Are you serious? Don't go at this naive.
Since you're bullshitting me, Andrew Tate's not a Muslim, bro. No, he talks about like Islamic traditions and shit, but he's not a Muslim. Is he a Muslim? Yo, chat. Yo, chat. Stop fucking with me, bro. Like, you stop fucking with me. Andrew Tate's not a Muslim. Y'all are fucking lying, bro. He's not a Muslim, dude. I mean, a lot of these dudes talk about Muslim traditions and stuff like that, but he's not a Muslim, bro. He says, bro, look it up. He just announces it last week. No. Yo. You know what that means, bro? What I just said, bro. What I just said. Yo, Mr. Everything, shout out to you. THPV Network, shout out to you. Yo, he's a Muslim, bro. Yo, what's next? Sneako's gonna be a Muslim? What's next? Yo, bro. Yo, the agenda, dog. Yo. And Tate influences millions of young teens. I'm talking about teens, bro. Hey, yo, this is what we talk about, okay? I'm not saying the religion is bad as a whole. I'm just not saying it. I'm just the issue that you guys have to understand is the reason why these guys are joining these religions. It's not because they wholeheartedly, genuinely believe in the faith. It's because of pussy and pussy control. You understand that, right? Because Islam has the strictest rules on women and their behavior, and it puts a limiter on I won't even say their promiscuity, but like the ability for them to be mobile. I mean, in some of these Middle Eastern countries that are dominated by Sharia law, women aren't even allowed to drive. Like, do you imagine that? They're not even allowed to hold certain jobs in certain levels of office. So it's pretty regressive, if we want to put it that way. Okay, so listen, they affecting a lot of young people out here. Okay, and a lot of young people out here who are joining this Islamic shit, they're doing it because of control. You got to understand, when guys like these get into relationships, okay, some of these guys, because if you don't join for the right reasons, listen, there's joining for the right reasons and joining for the wrong reasons. For instance, if you've been to prison, all right, and you find Islam in prison, that's good, because there's a reason why you ended up in prison. And, you know, finding that religion and coming out with a different perspective of life, that's a good thing. I mean, we can look at Kevin Gates. Kevin Gates is one of the other guys, I would say, turned to Islam, right? And he did that while I think he was in prison or something like that. Kevin Gates, the rapper. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. All right, but he turned to Islam, and now he's out here being the most peaceful, loving motherfucker out here. Like, he's hugging everybody, talking about peace, love, you know, sanity, and all that bullshit, right? So that's good. Islam did wonders for him. He found the right message. He found a positive message out of Islam. I'm not saying all religions are bad, right? Here's a problem. A lot of these guys who are joining Islam, guys like Andrew Tate, they're not happy dudes. These are not happy dudes in happy relationships, leading happy lives. These are dudes who are frustrated following gods on YouTube. Okay, and they're doing this out of sexual frustration, majority of them. Okay, it's not out of like self-reflection, because a lot of these guys they run away from accountability. They can't stand accountability. It's not because of that. Okay, it's because of sex. So just keep that in mind. And that's a problem. Okay, they're not joining it because they're peacefully, genuinely trying to have a connection. No, it's because it's pussy control. It's being able to be the husband and have multiple wives type of scenario is what I'm talking about. And listen, bro, y'all gotta watch out. y'all gotta watch out, bro. Watch out. There's gonna be a lot of toxic boys coming out here in the future.
If you don't go at this, because you understand that there is a cost for this decision. So going back to the Eastern thing, but on the West, you have marriage as all feelings. Oh my gosh, we love each other. Oh, we don't, you know what? You make $1 million, I make $10,000. We're gonna be together for the rest of our lives. Oh, you're this, your dad. Oh, your dad was an alcoholic. We'll never have any problem. Like, it's a very naive model, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Western marriages have issues, because it's all feelings. And to me, which is why I love Adam, is about balance.
Mm-hmm.
How do we balance these two ideologies? Because to Ali's point, if it's all logic, it's boring. If it's all robotic, there's no passion, there's no excitement, there's no je ne sais quoi. It's just a dry thing that in the modern world, people don't want that, right? But if it's all feelings, there's no structure, there's no protection, there's no wisdom, there's no guidance. So I think it's a marriage of those two ideas to be able to create long-term solutions for long-term success. And that's why I just think sometimes when we come from too much leaning on one direction, either or, it becomes problematic.
I believe he agreed with me, though. I thought he was disagreeing.
Well,
I was agreeing. That's how I play. I was like, yeah.
Just to be clear, did you get a prenup when you got married?
No, and I
you did it.
I'll explain to you guys why. So I think
no, nigga, what? No. Hey, this better be a good ass explanation, my boy.
I love the prenup conversation. I think it's important. There's three reasons why I get a prenup, but the first reason is I actually believe prenups are good and bad. They're good because they protect you.
What do you call it? Rumbe Rose says, don't speak any wrong on Islam. Watch out, nigga. You know I'm Nigerian, right? You know, majority of our country is Islamic, all right? And it's not speaking wrong on Islam. It's just me understanding what Islam does, or at least the type of Islam. I'm talking about the jihadist version, the Sharia version. I understand, because my country, we have Sharia law, okay, mixing with secular law, and it doesn't happen. If you want to know what a jihadist extremist does to young men who are disenfranchised with zero opportunities of growth, of economic growth, not even finding jobs, go to Nigeria. There are a lot of young boys who are joining terrorist groups, right, being lured in by Islam because they have nothing, okay, and they're going in to go murder families for US $20 equivalent. You understand that, right? There are families in villages getting fully murdered in the name of Allah. You understand that, right? So I know what I'm talking about because the stuff like this I cover. So it's when it's not saying that Islam is negative. Islam is not a negative religion. That's not what I'm saying here. That's not the point of this conversation, right? It's not negative. It's your intentions going into that religion is where, or not even your intentions, your mindset going into that religion is going to be a problem. And it's not just Islam. It's in every religion as well. If you have a radical, like, crazy mind, right, or the mind that's not settled, that's not in place, right, you're not in the right place, you're filled with anger, you go read a religious text, okay, it's easy for you to draw any kind of passage you want from it. And a lot of times, if you're in a negative state of the mind, you draw negativity out of it. All right, you gravitate towards the negative side. The same thing with Christianity, when people go crazy and murder people in the name of God. This is extremism shit, right? It's the mindset a lot of these guys are going into. And you can't sit there and tell me a lot of these red pill dudes are happy going into this shit. Because if you want to tell me that there are a lot of happy red pill dudes joining Islam, not because they want to start or wife as many women as possible or start a haram or whatever the fuck it is, then we got to have a debate about that, because I'm going to tell you it's not true. Islam is not a horrible religion. It's just there are certain people who come in with horrible mindsets and horrible, mentalities that haven't been healed. They give Islam a horrible name, and realistically, all religions a horrible name. That just really is what it is. You know that there are like extremist Buddhist people. You realize that, right? There's some extreme Buddhist people. Like, it is crazy. I didn't even know that was a thing that existed, but that's the thing. There's some radicalized Buddhists, which apparently I thought it was the religion of like uber peace. Apparently, like, there's some people who'll kill you if you fuck with the Buddhism, right? So that's the thing, bro. It's just the mindset a lot of these people have when they go into these religions. They draw different fucking conclusions from it, because religion, especially the text, okay, it's filled with so many, you could call it contradictions. Most people call it contradictions, but I wouldn't say it's a contradiction. But I think it's just different stories and different lessons that kind of contradict each other at times. But I think it's filled with those different things that it's easy for people to draw their own interpretations from it. And if you're in a good mindset, you draw positive influences like Kevin Gates, right? If you have a negative mindset, well, you draw negative experiences like the young men in Nigeria who turned to Islam and murder families for $20. So it's not speaking bad, it's just talking facts.
Bad because they don't protect you enough. What I personally believe is something which I did research about. This called a marriage contract. You may not like this, but please give this to me. How many kids do you have? 3. So let's say Allie married her man, and she said she wanted 3 kids, right? Yeah. She gets married, she wants 3 kids. All of a sudden, prior to marriage, okay, gotcha. He agreed. She said, honey, I want 3 kids. Is that cool with you? He said, of course, baby, you want 3 kids, we're gonna have 3 kids. She's married. 5 years into it, hey, when are we having our kid? Next year. When are we having our kid? Next year. It's year 8. He's like, I don't want any kids anymore. Should she stay in that marriage? He agreed, and she both agreed that we were gonna have 3 kids. That's why she married him. When it was time to have kids, he changed his mind. Well, I don't want.
You didn't get a prenup, and you saying a whole lot of nothing right now. Why didn't you get a prenup? And you a high value man, and you taking L's right now.
I don't want kids anymore. Good. Should she stay in that marriage? Let's go on the guy's side, because the red pill guys love when guys are being the victim. So you're a man, and in your marriage, you agreed that we're gonna have sex. Let's say twice a week. That's an agreement. I'm just saying that's a verbal contract. We're agreeing that we get in there at least twice a week. All of a sudden, she's like, I'm not in the mood anymore. She's like, oh, now I'm on my period.
Won't be all of a sudden. That'd be almost immediate. But go ahead.
Okay, and then months into it, right?
Yeah.
She says, well, I only want to have sex once every 6 months. Should he stay there? You both agreed initially, like, yo, we're gonna do this consistently, and now he's getting it. Should he stay there? So to me, what's very important about the marriage is that before you get into it, both of you guys need to agree upon everything. This is where I think the nuance in the evolution.
Hold up. Time out. I was rocking with you, and yes, you're right. You both got to agree on everything, but to the eyes of the law, that don't mean shit, bro. You can agree with your wife all day long, my boy, but as soon as the divorce proceeding starts, that agreement now is with the state. It's not with her, so she can draw from whatever agreement she draws from the state as she wants to, because you failed to get a prenup, my guy. Like, I mean, what are you saying right now? You're not even saying anything, bro. You supposed to listen. Listen, I'm rocking with you, But like the fact that you don't have a prenup, you married, yo, how are you this far into the red pill committing the most cardinal sin? Like if you're gonna listen, no one here is speaking out against marriages. Okay, I speak for marriage. I just wouldn't get married myself. I've been there. All right, that's why I said I have the right to talk about it because I've been there. Okay, but I'm not going listen, get a prenup. You not leading by example. You out here trying to help men. How you trying to help men? You don't even have a prenup. That is not a good example of what a marriage should be, how you should start off a marriage, okay? And you just trying to justify it by coming at the red pill. No, nigga, you fucked up. You better get you a post-actual agreement, boy. Like, hold up. I'm not saying your girl is bad or anything like that, and I get the naive perspective you're coming from, but bro, I don't know if this is your first marriage or whatever it is, and y'all let me know in the chat if this is Hafeez's first marriage. But if this is your second marriage, shame on you. But if it's your first marriage, I get it, right? But yo, you got to understand, like, you make an agreement with your girl, you're married to the state now. That's when you sign the document, it's with the state, not with your girl, okay? So you're not leading by example by you just sitting here talking about, oh, let me just shit on the red pill and how the red pill is all about grifting. Meanwhile, you not even leading by example. How you gonna help these men if you yourself ain't even protected? You not protected, bro. Bro, you know how if the divorce happens, again, no one's wishing anything or any ill will against you or anything like that. You do realize that when she fucks you over, this video and all subsequent videos that come after this, when you were bigging this shit up, it's going to haunt you, bruh. It's going to haunt you because you, being this wise, clever dude, could not just protect yourself with a prenup, bro. And now you're trying to justify it by going after like other Red Pill content creators, bro. Come on. Hafeez, we can't do this. Hafeez, we can't do this, bro. Come on, dog.
Agree on everything so the woman's protected as well as the man is protected. And so to me, that's what me and my wife did. Before we got married, we talked about everything. So every single scenario, every single thing. Me, I'm not a money guy. I'm not motivated.
Hold up. Is it me or this nigga looks stressed right now? Bro, this is the look of somebody who does not have a prenup and probably realizes that he made a mistake along the way. And now he's trying to project his ideas of marriage forcefully onto other people because he fucked up. Okay, my man is worried. My man got a clothing company. My man got a thriving YouTube channel, if it's thriving, right? Listen. This is a look of somebody who's worried, bro. This is the bad kind of marriage where you damn near got a gun to the back of your head. Okay, this nigga looks stressed. Okay, and you gotta bring on the bacon, bro. Because if she walks out, like Kanye saying, bro, she leave your ass, she gonna leave with half, bro. Oh my god, he looks worried, bro.
Motivated by money, so therefore the money, like, I'm different. Everyone knows me. I'm not a money guy. So you can have all the money. I have my brain. I can start from ground zero. I'll build the money.
No, you cannot have bro. This is cope. Yo, guys. The more I listen to this, the more I'm starting to think this nigga is projecting, dog. I think somewhere deep down, bro, he's probably arguing with his girl right now, bro, realizing that the arguments they're having late night, my boy is realizing he made a mistake because now there's no going back, my guy. You're locked in and she's got you. No prenup whatsoever. And I think Hafeez knows it. That's why, like, this nigga is stressed right now. Look at some of his newest shit, bro. My dude looks stressed out, bro, because he knows the moment that woman says it's over, the moment she says it's over, she go. And now he's trying to cope by saying, I don't care about money. No. Hey, listen, I never really cared about money. Now, all these things that took me years to build, my YouTube channel, my fashion company that I launched, I really don't care about all that because I have my mind. Yeah. She can have all my money. Yeah. She can have it all. Yeah. You can. Hey, baby, just keep it. You want my asshole too? Huh? How far do you want me to bend over? Okay. Listen, hey, just let me know, baby. I could bend over, half court, right? Full squat, whatever you want, baby, right? You can have it. I got my mind. As long as I got my mind, you can fuck me as hard as you can. Pause. Hold up. Pause. Pause. Hey, hold up. Pause. All right, but like y'all get what I'm trying to say, bro. This man got a gun to his head.
Money back up. I don't mind money, but to me, because it's another argument that we can talk about later, is that the kids is a whole different conversation. Kids are more wealth than money. So I was more obsessed with children than money, because at the end of the day, like I said, we can talk about that later. But so to me,
kids cost money. My nigga, what are you talking about? You can't, you listen, matter of fact, you should have money before you have kids. That's why we have a problem with a bunch of idiots being born right now, because a lot of idiots being born right now are being born in situations where parents don't have time to teach them sense anymore. So that's why a lot of kids, you run into them in like right now, they got no common sense, because they got parents who ain't teaching them common sense because the parents ain't even in the house. Okay, my nigga. So like, bro, you can't say you don't care about these things and you care about children more and care about building legacy, because all that shit costs money. Okay, building legacy means you gotta build value, meaning you gotta make money. You gotta be useful to the world, my nigga. An average kid costs $250K, and with inflation every single year on the rise, it's at 8%. Okay, and probably even more. Damn, that like inflation's getting crazy, right? It's going to get more expensive. Don't sit here and pretend like you care about the children, don't care about the money, nigga. That is just, that ain't the worst thing I've ever heard. This is not a good take, bro. This is where you need to stop talking. Just stop talking, bro.
In regards to losing money, I don't care about losing money. Take whatever you want if worst case scenario things happen. But by having a marriage agreement, both of you guys understand what's expected of you. And if one person obviously breaks this agreement, both families know. So if she wants a certain amount of kids and I say I don't want it anymore, then her family knows, oh, yo, Hafeez, you promised my daughter this, you didn't give it to her, so it makes sense that this marriage is no.
So is this? We all understand what a prenup is. Like it's signed, lawyer, date, bing, 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 bing. What is a marriage contract?
So
is it a verbal agreement? Is it a written agreement?
It can be.
You're saying that the families know each other?
Yeah,
what is that exactly?
It can be one of three things, right? It can be written between you and this individual, which is the least ideal. The second ideal is you can actually get a mediator or a legal arbiter to actually sign this for you. So therefore, like in an area, if you go to court, this is now a legal document, right? So this is a legal document that can be able to be proved in court. But I know a lot of the red pill guys don't like the idea of marriage being controlled by the state. And if you look at a lot of traditional Eastern societies, marriage is really agreement between families. So to me, I think it's really about the families agreeing to this and the families being aware of expectations on both sides. So therefore, there's family accountability, because what's the problem in the West is there's no accountability. Like you say, if the wife,
we agree mostly on all of these things. You understand what's going on here when you're talking about these marriages and business contracts and family. This is where we agree. And unfortunately, we get into the loss into the romance and the feelings part of it, which feelings do change, right? 100%. Your feelings changed about me about a minute ago. People change, and thus,
life changes, right?
Thus, though, the marriage contract doesn't change with the state. So you have to have those things understood and be in a proper position.
Okay, so let me just paint a picture here. So I was married very briefly. Okay,
divorced.
But I had a prenup. But the entire, without throwing myself under the bus here, she needed to expedite the marriage. You know what I'm saying? In order to,
I got it.
So I said, I got you, baby. I love you, but you have to sign and date here, and these are the expectations I've had if I do this for you. And it wasn't like a marriage built to last. It was I'm here for a good time, not a long time type of situation. You could read between the lines here if you know what I'm saying. Okay, but we're still cool. Shout out to you, Lauren, if you're watching. All good. But better believe that I had a prenup in that situation. So that's when I was in my early 30s. Now I'm in my early 40s. Life's even better. Money's good, career's good, still in shape, still what you would call sexual market value peak. All right. Shout out to Rolo, who basically did a whole calculation. I'm in the 0.13% of men. I'm like, okay, my ego's pretty big already. Boom. Now I just got an inflated ego. Thanks, Rolo. Boom. So life's good. But I had a conversation with a girl recently who's what I would say a very high value woman. Let's put it that way. Okay. And we're saying, all right, if we ended up ever together, I would want a prenup. No. I'm not down for a prenup.
There's no such thing as a high value woman. Okay, that's another thing on the red pill. That's not me saying that. That's a red pill. Like, okay, so you can't interview red pill, and the fact that they didn't call you on that shit is crazy. Okay, no high value women in the red pill. just high value men. Okay, just the guys. Okay, girls can't be high value.
What she said.
Although, hang on. All right. Apparently, maybe just Pearl is the exception. Apparently, because the Black Manosphere recently made her the queen of the Manosphere. So, or queen of the Black Manosphere, which I find very interesting, guys. Right? I really find that very interesting. That white women can start the feminism that infects Black women and ruins it for a lot of brothers, and then those same brothers elevate a white woman to lead them out of the wave that they're ancestors or their grandparents, great grandparents started. Okay. I just think it's food for thought. Matter of fact, guys, it's not just Hafeez losing his mind. I think the entire manosphere has lost their mind in the pursuit of clout. That's what that's my main thinking. Okay, so I take that with what you think it is. I still am of the firm belief that, listen, women are, yes, they should be included in this space, but they shouldn't be leading this space at all. Like, get them out of here in these leadership roles, because it's all a grift. Okay, they just come in here, say the exact same thing that's been repeated for years, and they don't actually produce any value. Matter of fact, I've seen the debate between Pearl and Hafeez. Neither of them provided any sort of value whatsoever. So it's like, it's all the same talking points. And a lot of these guys, they're not growing from it. They're just sitting there eating it. So I just find it interesting that she's now elevated to this point in the red pill space. Meanwhile, especially in the black manosphere red pill space, because I was watching that, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, where did she come from? Like, this is crazy, right? So she's elevated to a leadership position, but not too long ago, her great grandparents, and I'm not saying her in particular, I'm just talking about race-wise, right? Were responsible for that shit. Because remember, feminism is not a black people thing. We don't, we all were on a boat together. We were slaves together. And we got our independence together, our freedom, right? So, it was one of the situation where the man was above the woman, but now, I just find it so weird. The world, we're living in a very interesting time, people. I just gotta say that. But other than that, maybe Pearl is high value woman. Maybe some guys in the manosphere space would say that, right? Because I guess maybe some of these female leaders like Melanie King, I guess you can call her a high value woman. She preaches about that. So I don't know anymore, bro. Like this red pill manosphere shit got me all kinds of confused. I don't even know what to think anymore, bro. I'm just out here rolling with it at this point. It's just like, oh, okay, we got a white woman leading a black manosphere space. Just roll with it. Just fucking roll with it.
As I said, well, I'm glad we're having this conversation right now before this thing gets off the ground a little bit. She's like, no. And she made some very valid points as to why she wouldn't want to sign a prenup. And I'm like, well, granted, I hear you, and emotional and all that kind of stuff, like, I love what you said about East and West. And I said, yeah, I'm going to need the prenup, baby girl. Like, sorry, like, no matter whatever happens. So I'm trying to understand, like, the prenup, the marriage contract. At the end of the day, you'd be a fool as a successful guy to not establish some type of boundaries, some type of protection to say, hey, look, I hear you. You want to have this Fantasyland Cinderella Snow White vibe go down, right? Beauty and the Beast thing. But like in first marriage is almost 50% don't work. Yeah. Second marriage is, I think it's 60-something percent. Third marriage is 75%. Absolutely. So like the more and more you get married, you realize, all right, this whole thing. So I'm understanding the balance between the emotional component, because you're going to have, hey, I love you. I want to be with you forever, or else we wouldn't get married. Yeah. But just flip a coin whether this bad boy is going to work out or not. At the same time, I hear what Hafeez is saying is like, everything can't be so robotic and so structured that you can't have any feelings and emotion. Yeah. So I'm trying to kind of grapple this.
Can I add something to this? Go. See, this is the thing that experience offers that sometimes experience doesn't. So he talked about experience and being open-minded to experiences, but a guy who has significant investment experiences has bumped their head as well. Yep. They wouldn't be called bitter. They would be called experience, right? But in this situation, what people don't know what's behind that curtain when you go into court and the love is lost. And also the agreements aren't being upheld, but the marriage contract are piranhas, sharks. They typically come in the form of lawyers, judges, and people in that industry who make a lot of money. With that being said, once you go in that room, I'm one of the only people that have been in those rooms. It's a dark place. We call it the belly of the beast. And until you've been there, you really haven't experienced a marriage. Now, let me just say this. You mentioned the divorce.
You've never been to a courtroom? You haven't been to a marriage?
Let me explain why. Let me explain why. You mentioned the 50%, 63%, 70%. But do you know that these don't include the people who have already talked to divorce attorneys? See, many of those 50%, there's an additional percentage of people who haven't even talked to a lawyer, or I'm sorry, that have talked to a lawyer. And they've gone, okay, I'll stay, baby. It's cheaper to keep her. Happy wife, happy life. Yeah. I'll just accept what it is. I'll stay for the kids. I don't want to lose the house. So it's more than 50%.
So and I'm saying tack on a couple extra percentage.
We need to tack on at least 25 extra.
And this is where I also disagree with a lot of red pill stats, because this is where the half truths come into play. Okay, this is where the half truths start to come into play. Okay, yes. That's one reason a lot of people, they end up in the divorce rooms or not divorce rooms, the courtrooms and things like that. But the other half too is not just the woman taking everything from the guy, is sometimes the guys leave, right? The fact that, listen, we have a trope called daddy going out for milk or daddy going out for a pack of cigarettes and not coming back. That's a real thing. That's a real thing that happens. There are a lot of kids who grow up because daddy ran out of them, right? And their sons grow up to become wife beaters or some shit because they didn't have daddy to teach them how to be a man and teach them some discipline. So there's all the other side. Or what about the other side where the man loses his job because he used to be high value? And this was a thing that no one's talking about, especially when the pandemic happened, because a lot of men lost high-paying income jobs, right? A lot of men lost that and they were stuck at home, a lot of them, right? And women had to pick up the slacks. A lot of women had to go back in the workforce. Look at the stats, man. Like, that's what it is. So what happens when someone out of those stats, because divorce was wonky, right? Kind of wonky when the pandemic happened. But what you got to look into that context. Well, a lot of times those guys who lose their jobs, they usually lose a lot more than that. And usually it's the motivation to find another job that's equally as paying as their previous job or paying more than what their previous job was paying. And a lot of times that's due to men feeling, the disgrace from being let go from an industry, or not even disgrace, but the fact that you can't even when that industry usually is gone, right? When we had the whole coal thing, the coal miners here in the U.S., right? When Clinton came out and said we gonna get rid of coal, right? Get out of here, clean coal. We getting out of coal. Trump was clean coal, which was weird because how was coal clean? But Clinton was, we gonna get rid of these coal miners, and the coal miners didn't like that, right? Because coal mining is a big paying job. I mean, you're putting your life on the line. But what happens when those jobs goes away, right? What are those husbands gonna retool themselves and get with the new economy? No, a lot of them, they got pissed off when the media told them to learn how to code, right? Go learn a new skill, learn how to code. A lot of them, they turn that into a meme. How the hell you teach me how to learn how to code? You tell me go learn how to code, and I just lost my job. God damn it! I lost my job. God damn it! What is that, South Park? My job. They took my job, right? They took my job. They told, hey, go learn how to code. Let's get into a different industry. How dare you tell me? So a lot of them niggas don't want to learn new skills, and they end up in relationships where the wives have to pick up a lot of the slack, okay? So when the wives have to pick up a lot of slack, a lot of times they end up leaving that man because women aren't built for taking care of families, like whole families by themselves. Like, let's just be real. That's just what it is, okay? So when you look at these divorce stats, this 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, okay, I agree. Most of them are due to women, the no-fault divorce type of thing, out of the whim. I'm not happy. I got to go type shit, right? But we still got to be honest about the rest of it. What about the guys that don't hold themselves accountable in those situations when they go out for cigarettes and they don't come back, right? Or when they lose their jobs and they don't bounce back? We got to account for that too. So when we look at stats as a whole, just understand that I can show you a good book on how to lie with statistics. Because listen, if you go by these stats alone, it introduces fear. It introduced fear into the market. And a lot of young men are going to look at the stats. Oh, 50%. Oh, I'm half as likely to lose my shit if I fucking get married. Holy, I don't want to fucking do that. Okay, hang on. Because that's a big number. All right, it's half, yes, but you gotta look at the full picture. And when you just look at the stats and the stats don't break it down as much, it gets scary. And that's why it comes off as fear-mongering with a lot of these guys when they talk about divorces. And when you look at Fresh and Fit, Coach Greg Adams, a lot of these Redpill guys, when they quote divorce stats, it comes off as fear-mongering because that's a big number. But then again, we're human beings, bro. Relationships they flow, and they have different types of peaks and valleys, okay? And it's different for different people. So when we look at a big arbitrary number, we can't just assume that it's because of one gender's fault and the other gender lacks accountability for it. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say.
Percent, because there are some people who have visited it, and many people reconciled. So it's bigger than that. And when I add on those percentages, it adds some perspective. Yeah. Oh shit, there is more than 50%. These are 50% who legally got divorced. We're adding on the people who said, "Oh shit, I'll just go on and stay."
What we call thinking about it.
Yeah, man, I'll think about it. Or the person brought it up. If you don't do this, I'm divorcing.
Ali, let me get your perspective here, because again, you're the anomaly. Yeah, happy marriage, living a good life, and killing it on OnlyFans. Circle back to that little, water cooler talk with your ladies. Why because I think 70% of marriages are initiated by women. Sorry, divorces are initiated by women, and then it bumps
marriages.
Up to 100% on marriages, brother.
Right.
But and I think it bumps up to about 80% when they're college educated. So the more money they're making, the more independence they're feeling, the smarter they are. All right. What are the reasons you think that women are just over their man?
Well, I think that there's a lot of too with women get in clusters and they kind of feed each other and it festers, you know, and that's one thing I think about, like my husband and I's dynamics. I've never really talked about any marital problems we've had with other people. Maybe, you know, a comment to my sister.
Bro, she got an OnlyFans and she's married. I'm telling you, hey, they're dude. Listen, she's proof right here that a lot of this red pill shit is bullshit. Because listen, fuck the red pill, pop this shit, right? Listen, there's a big simp market out there. Okay, so when you see a lot of these red pill guys saying that women are gonna lose if she joins the OnlyFans, winter's coming for her because it's not gonna happen. Don't believe that bullshit, because you're underestimating the amount of simps that are out there in this world. There's a lot of them, and even women on OnlyFans will get wifed up. Like, I mean, come on, bro. The proof is in the pudding. They're sitting there, white an OnlyFans girl who's wifed up. Okay, this is what we're saying. Don't take a lot of these things these red pill guys say about women and their lifestyle choices and, you know, what their relationship outcomes are going to be. Just take it with a grain of salt, because there are different types of people in this world, and there are guys who will most likely hold down a girl who actively has an OnlyFans. That's the thing. I personally wouldn't do it, and personally I wouldn't recommend it, and I don't think she's the type of person we should be platforming to talk about relationships and whatever it is. But I'm just pointing this out because this is one of the crucial things a lot of red pill talk, especially Myron. You hear Myron talk about, hey, she so much as have an Instagram, dump the bitch. Okay, that's office of Myron. Okay, I'm just saying, listen, there's some guys that will date her even if she has an Instagram. Matter of fact, there's some guys that will wife her even if she has an OnlyFans. Okay, so I'm just saying, guys, the world is big. It's different. Just take it with a grain. I'm surprised she's married. I'm gonna call you Abdu. I like Abdu. Yes, I agree. O'Shea is pushing her like a lot, and I think it's interesting that O'Shea is doing that, and I have a lot of respect for O'Shea. So listen, don't get it twisted. Like, I got a huge amount of respect for O'Shea. He's done a lot of things in the Manosphere. So I've gone after a couple people based off of them going after his daddy. Okay, so I ended up going after their daddies as well, and that bitch ass motherfucker end up taking that video down. I'm so sorry. I'm going crazy, guys. I had like 3 or 4 videos got taken down by this dude. Hold up, let me show you who I'm talking about. This dude right here. I expose him and his daddy because he likes to go after content creators, right? He likes to dox people and their family members. So he did that with O'Shea, and he got his comeuppance. So we're not done with him, but he took a lot of my videos down. It was pretty for a high value man, right? Why you running? Why you running, buddy? Yeah, listen, don't poke the bear if you're not ready for the smoke. Like, I come with all the smoke, buddy. So anyways, I believe that O'Shea, is pushing these people out, and I don't. These are things that you disagree with. I don't agree with it. Not just O'Shea, the lead attorney, because the lead attorney platforms her too as well. But the lead attorney isn't like solely Black Manosphere. You know what I'm saying? The reason why listen, I wouldn't really even hold O'Shea accountable except for this, right? He does push a lot of pro-Black. He has a lot of pro-Black agenda. Him and Obsidian. Especially Obsidian, the one going after Donovan Sharp for going after Danica Marie. Okay, so instead of you doing your very best to put her on top, y'all elevating Pearl. So instead of elevating a Black woman, y'all elevating Pearl. I don't understand, and it's not saying anything against Pearl, because I don't have anything against Pearl. I really don't. I'm indifferent to it. I'm just saying that, why are we in the Black space elevating white people? Especially in these leadership positions for men. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, I never understood it. After I saw that, I was just like, I might be in the wrong space. I'm telling you, bro, I just might be in the wrong space. It just doesn't make any sense. But I got a lot of respect for O'Shea. He's done a lot. But y'all got, it is some weird sus shit going on, bro. If you guys notice, the red pill is going through we're not even the red pill, the entire Manosphere. It's going through some changes, okay? Just keep that in mind. But let's continue with this woman who's successfully married, and let's listen to her talk about relationships.
sister, you know, but I don't like discuss our problems the same way he doesn't discuss that, because I think everyone else, you know, has their own, like you said, biases and things that they've been through, and they may come from a different angle and put ideas in your head or your fears in your head.
You're saying misery loves company.
Misery loves
so
company.
If you're having an issue with your relationship, with marriage, oh, my man, let me tell you about my man, and then they just kind of.
We should do that. Yeah. And I think I've watched it. It's just incredibly toxic. And I think I look at marriage as a commitment between two people. And for me, and so when you speak about the family aspect, I feel like we didn't even have a big wedding because I don't need to share that with anyone else. It's between him and I just found it kind of corny to do so. So for me, I think a lot of women, you know, I don't disagree with there's a lot of women out there dirty, and they will particularly prey on men who are successful I do not dispute that whatsoever. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking for a prenup. I think, yeah, I could maybe change the tone, but a true woman that absolutely loves you would respect what you've built before you've actually, you know, came together.
Winter Fox. Yes. You notice that, right? The whole white savior complex. Like, why is it that we got to wait for a white person to come help us with black issues? Like, we have to have a white woman help us with our women. Like, what is it like, I've never understood it. And listen, the white savior complex has been a trope in every single movie or Hollywood media production. It's been a trope even in politics right now, where the Democrats come in and say, "Hey, black folks, you know, hey, you do the South Park nipple rub, right? It's like, hey, hey, black folks, you vote for us, all right? We Democrats, we're gonna promise you a bunch of shit that we probably wouldn't do, but we just want your votes right now, and yeah, let's go ahead and do it." And then as soon as all the black people come in and they vote for the Democrats, we get Biden, right? Because Biden told us that we're not black if we don't vote for him, right? Apparently, I guess fuck my black card because I didn't vote for the nigga, but it is what it is, right? I mean, this is the white savior complex I'm talking about. Like, who the hell gives you the right to come in and tell me that I'm not black if I don't vote for you? You like, fuck you, nigga. Like, you don't tell me. Like, that's crazy. But we see this in politics. We see this even in religion. Okay, the good old white folks with Christianity coming to these savage nations, these savage African nations to preach the good word of the Bible and have the Lord save them too, while we go ahead and rape their women and they, convert their men into weird sus shit, right? It happens. It happens. Okay, that this white savior complex is everywhere, and I'm just this was the main thing I was thinking about once I saw it. I'm just like, wait a minute now. Why do we have this? Like, why do we like this? Is like, listen, I don't care if you platform a black woman. I would actually almost prefer you do that. But I just think it's weird that we have this weird white savior complex that is evident in the black community. Like, we have to, especially in the black manosphere that's supposed to help men and bring them and their women together. We got a white woman telling us how it's done. Like, what the it's like, hey, miss me with that bullshit. I'm out of here, bro. If y'all want to go ahead and that's how you know a lot of this shit is for views and clout. It is what it is. Like, a lot of this shit is for views and clout. Them niggas don't like you. But like, it is what it is, bro. It's I don't know, Doug. I don't know. I'm just the manosphere is going towards a weird shift right now, guys. Just pay attention to the sus agendas. There's multiple sus agendas going on. Just pay attention to it.
Understand if those are protections you need because of whatever you've been through in the past. If you were a woman who was in love with you, you would honor that and sign the prenups.
If I could, I almost want to like kind of get a listicle, and I get you don't speak for all women, and either will Natalia, and then I want to turn it over to the men. But if you could put a top 3 reasons why a woman is looking to divorce her man or break up with her man, in your opinion, what would it be? Meaning, it could be money, it could be looks, it could be not communicating, it could be infidelity. Based on your experience, what are the top 3 reasons you're seeing women just trying to break up with their man or divorce their man?
I think I'll tell you what I personally think is happening in the marriages, and then I'll tell you the top 3 things I would say. Probably working too much
against her. I just want to get to the Hafeez thing.
Flip it on us, right? Because we established the fact that 70 to 80% of marriages, relationships, the woman initiates a divorce or a breakup, but sometimes a man will initiate a breakup. From your perspective, what are the top 3 reasons men end a relationship with their women?
I would say number 1, lack of respect. So that goes to, like I said, men want to feel loved, but oftentimes are the giver of love, and nobody really not a lot of people focus on men receiving. So if there's a lack of respect, he may pull the trigger on that one if it feels like he's going to lose. He's not going to lose his children, right? So that would be reason number 1. I would say lack of intimacy. People can say sex, but she can lie there like a Carl's Jr. star, and he can pump her 5 strokes. It don't mean that he got sex from her. He's out, you know what I mean? Most of the prostitution-oriented sex is in marriage. But with that being said, If he does get a couple of pity duty sexes out of his wife, doesn't mean he got anything.
So you're saying that there's a difference
quality.
between sex and intimacy.
Absolutely, intimacy. I mean, you know, guys are looking for intimacy, and sometimes it's better to pay somebody for some intimacy than to get it from your own wife.
Okay. Hey, listen. Hey, coach. No. No. Sometimes you hear what you're saying, coach, and this is where I gotta understand. Like, listen, I like the coach. Coach is great. Coach does all that thing, but coach, I can't. Me and you cannot agree here because I don't care what you think. Prostitution is still prostitution, okay? And that's the problem with a lot of these guys. All right, the problem is they don't. He's talking. You notice the double speak with Coach Greg Adams, right? And this is, I'm not dissing him. This is just me just pointing out the facts here. He's talking about men looking for intimacy, but then also in the same breath saying that men, it's easier for them to just pay a woman to then go ahead and just get it versus just dealing through it. You know, a lot of intimacy issues caused in relationships is because the man doesn't understand how to initiate that, right? You know, a lot of guys don't understand how to be sensual, right? A lot of times, a lot of guys, they just, it's all about just going straight to the, going straight to the sex. There's no whining and dining. There's no setting up the mystery. There's no setting up the rose petals, you know, for Valentine's Day. There's no none of that, right? There's just I'll take you out to dinner, but then after that I expect some kind of sex. That's the common trend. So when we talk about lack of intimacy, it's on both ends too, right? It's on the guy to stimulate the woman, especially more so in the marriages. Especially when you're married, because when you're married, you're locked in and you have to work harder than when you were single. Okay. So the intimacy level has to be, you know, put on, you almost have to like kind of like dig down and plan that shit. All right. And that's where a lot of marriages go by the wayside, because realistically, once the kids come in the picture and the attention starts to go towards the kids, that's where intimacy dies, because realistically, the man doesn't have time to even be intimate with the woman. And on top of that, you know, there's no initiation there. So there are multiple reasons, but like you sitting there saying that a man would much rather pay, and then you over there. So then what is the intimacy part you're talking about? There's no intimacy when the guy is paying. If a guy is just craving intimacy. See, y'all gotta watch out, because another agenda in this particular space is the acceptance of prostitution. And I don't care about that, but realistically, we just got to be honest in what a lot of these dudes are pushing. I don't agree with that, coach. That's where you and me can disagree. I think wherever you go, prostitution is bad, because even deep down, guys don't really like that shit because they know it's not real. Okay, they know that. That's why you have some of these serial killers. They go out there. Who do they target? They target people who are in those prostitution world, because a lot of them have these deep-seated anger towards them. They do. They do. That's just what it is. Go listen to the news, bro. There's a lot of these women go missing. That's why it's one of the dangerous professions out there you can do. And you sit here just talking about casually. That's what most guys prefer, because they're not getting intimacy in their marriages. How in the fuck does that make sense? Y'all need to just stop it. Stop it. Wake up. You either is or you isn't, bro. Like, what you preaching, bro? Are guys not getting intimate in relationships, or do guys want easy, cheap access to box without working for it? Because if that's the case, it would validate what I've been saying earlier. A lot of guys, when they get into marriages, they don't understand how to introduce intimacy. They don't understand how to keep things spicy, keep things going, because yes, women are still going to be women. They're not going to be sitting there around when a guy just wants to sit there and pump them without giving a little bit of excitement. They're going to fall for a guy named fucking Tony that works in fucking sales, because, you know, he's at least exciting and he's new, versus a burn-ass husband because he thinks she's just a wife. Wake up. Listen, I was married too. There's one thing I had to learn. That listen, I got lazy when I got married. When it's coming, listen, I used to be, when I got married, I thought, listen, I already have a lockdown. I don't have to do anything else. She's locked down. She's mine. We got a ring going. I don't have to do anything else, right? I just come home. It's your wifely duties, right? And that's the danger of seeing it as a duty, okay? I get it. The Bible talks about it a lot, but a duty, sometimes people find joy in their duties, but a lot of times, some people find their duty as slave work. That's just what it is, right? Oh, duty. I get it. It's different perspectives. But you got to understand, bro, like, a woman's not just going to stay there if you just lose intimacy or you don't do that. When I got married, bro, I stopped being as flirtatious as I used to be. I stopped being as outgoing. I stopped being as, you know, I just stopped being me. I was a different dude. I was all just focused on a relationship, focused on the kids, focused on all that. And you could say I was happy. I wasn't really, right? I went through a lot of changes. I was at my fattest when I was married. I was not good when I was married. I was not. All right. So, I mean, guys, listen, when you get into these relationships, intimacy is one of the main things you have to work on. And for those of you guys who will listen to some of these guys like Myron Gaines talking about it's only you only go into this for your pleasure and her orgasm doesn't matter, especially when we're talking about sex, you're not going to keep her. Guarantee she's going to cheat on you. If you go into a relationship thinking that her orgasm does not matter, listen, bro, it's over. It's over. Like y'all listen, these guys are teaching half truths. I'm sorry, I was long-winded on that, but like I just can't believe this nigga just is advocating for prostitution. Like, come on, bro, miss me with that bullshit.
A lot of marriages are going on right now because he's paying for intimacy somewhere else. With that being said, if he's not getting intimacy and respect from his wife, he gonna leave if it doesn't hurt him financially.
Got it. And then third,
I would say
you said respect, sex / intimacy.
Yeah, I would say obviously then the kids. I mean, there's going to be something associated with the kids. If he knows he can keep a relationship with his children, aka she screwed up and he can get up out of there, and he can use that as leverage to make sure he doesn't lose time with his kids, then he'll pull the trigger. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Hafeez.
Yeah. I want to take a little differently because there's nothing that I'm going to add to that Coach Greg Adams hasn't shared. I think I agree with the third one may hit or miss. But here's the nuance I think is lacking in the conversation, especially to the young guys who kind of consume this kind of content. There's always truths in what people say. Like you say a lot of things that are true, but if you end the sentence there, it's not going to benefit people's lives. And so to me, I think one of the fundamental challenges is when you come at things from a perspective of things are going to fail, when you come at things from a perspective as worst case scenario, like, so this is interesting. I won't get too lost in the sauce, but it's an interesting TV show where this guy he spent an hour watching the worst events in humanity. The worst murders, the worst rapes, the worst deaths. He saw the worst in humanity for an hour. After watching the worst in humanity for an hour, how do you think he felt about humans, Adam?
Yeah, obviously he was just
probably felt like crap. He
so
probably
good.
felt really bad. So what happens so often in the marriage conversation, like I said, it's balance. Too many guys in the comments in this red pill world, they are consumed with the worst case scenario. And there's enough stories like that for days. He can spend 48 hours telling us every single worst case scenario, and he's only touching the tip of the iceberg of all the stories he's heard. There's enough information about the worst case scenario, about marriage, about divorce. Oh, she left me. And there's enough of that in this world. And so my biggest thing is that how does that make society better? Especially, I'm passionate about it, going back to like Black community. The biggest issue that's plaguing the Black community, when asked Candace Owens on the right, if you can ask Dr. Eric Dice on the left, they'll tell you it's fatherlessness, broken families, not enough husbands and wives coming together, raising families. That's what's
or platforming white bitches.
Destroying the Black community. That's what I'm passionate about. And so to me, the biggest thing is how it's simply spending all day, keyword all day, majority of my day, hearing about the worst case scenario about marriage and divorce and alimony and getting screwed over. How is that going to help Black men become better fathers? How is that going to help them become better husbands? How is that going to equip them with the tools needed to build healthy families and to create legacies of change? And so to me, that's one of the biggest reasons why some of the conversation to me is just boring. It's like, yo, like, okay, you have data, and then even some of the data is like 50% of marriages end in divorce. Is like, have we not looked up some of the most recent data? It's just like everything is biased, but it's biased to not lead to long-term success. And if we're honest about long-term success, a lot of this information is not it.
I got a question for you. Do you have car insurance?
100%. No,
all right. Do you have homeowners insurance?
100%.
Do you have life insurance?
100%.
Do you have medical insurance?
100%.
Did you get tired of your insurance agent talking about the possibilities of you losing your life and being rewarded? Hold on for a second. I know, but don't be a butt person. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. You have insurances, although it's a very uncomfortable situation, and life insurance people who sell it tend to be scumbags. They tend to be looked at as scumbags. Like, I don't want to have this conversation about me dying, but you surely will die. So you better have the conversation. The reality is, yes, it's a very tough conversation. I have to spend a lot of time talking about it. It's very difficult. However, there needs to be some insurance, and there's no insurance, and so we must talk about it.
I don't want to put words in Hafeez's mouth. I'm gonna let you answer this, but here's how I'm interpreting this.
See, I like where Coach was going with that, but I didn't like where he ended up. Okay, because Hafeez said, yes, I got insurance. Yes, I got all these different life insurance, all that stuff just to protect me in case. If I was Coach Greg Adams, I'm like, if you gonna get insurance for your car, insurance for your own life, how the hell you completely missed out on a prenup for your marriage, bro? Like, where did that disconnect come from? Like, that's what I would have went with if I was Coach Greg Adams. But I mean, I guess his point was kind of decent too. But I mean, I digress. I feel like, listen, if you're thinking it's important to not go without insurance and get insurance, right? And you think it's important to get life insurance, right? Why don't you think it's important to ensure your own marriage? Like that's crazy to me. Like I think that's a valid question to ask. I mean, I don't know.
Millions of dollars in the insurance world. All right.
Yes.
So I'm good.
love
I'm
insurance
good on
over
that.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ironically, I don't even sell insurance. I buy insurance off of people because they're sick of paying for their insurance. That's another conversation.
Because many times
However,
they don't get anything from the insurance that they pay, right? But I don't want to put you out of business.
No,
I love insurance over here.
Life's good. You're not going to change anything.
Exactly.
But here's my point. And this is kind of Hafeez's point, is you're talking about you're going to die, you're getting in a car accident, your house is going to flood, you're going to flood. And he's like, stop talking about the negative shit. What Hafeez is saying, and I'll let you kind of go from here, is, well, let's talk about what happens if that doesn't happen. Let's hear some positive stories. Let's hear about the lovely home we're going to build, the amazing car we're going to drive in, the fact that my house isn't going to get blown away in a hurricane. And I understand what you're saying is like, yeah, brother, you can have the most beautiful house, you can have the most beautiful car, you can have the most beautiful life, but you do need some protection.
Just be fair.
So it's almost like a both. You need both.
But just to be fair, when two people enter into that agreement, that's what they talk about. They don't sit together talking about, hey, when we get divorced, they sit to talk about those things. So the conversation is being had, but it's almost between those two people. But when divorce happens, it happens in the court of public opinion, and it happens in the public court.
Yeah. So you asked me a question. That's why I was responding, because you asked me.
No, it does not happen in public court.
So remember, this is how you know, Adam. This is a true test. Ali, if you want a true test to how someone views the world, see how balanced they are, right? So like, let's see somebody politically. The best people politically are people like Adam. They can go hard on the right and go hard on the left. They can see the good in the right, they can see the good in the left. They have a balanced perspective of both sides. When someone's only going hard here 24/7, you know, there's a little bit of offness. Like when my biggest thing is, I said balance. I didn't say far west emotional. I didn't say far east logical. I said balance.
Correct.
My point is that if you're trying to tell somebody about buying a house, use a house example. Let's stay with the house example. If you're going to sell somebody a house, because you know human beings need houses. Of course, you're going to add insurance to it. But this is how you're not going to sell a house. Let me show you this beautiful house. Do you know if your house burns down and you're inside of it, you're going to die? Do you know that there's all these electricity problems? You know when a hurricane comes, your house is going to fall
you
down.
lose your commission if you sell it like that.
And if I'm trying to sell something to you and telling you every worst case scenario, hey Adam, come drive this Lamborghini. Do you know that Lamborghinis, you can get in a crash, you can die? Do you know if you drive at a certain speed, you're gonna it's not either or, because this is what it blows my mind. I know how nihilistic these guys on the internet are, because they can't even tell the nuance. It's not either or, it's both. I want you, please sit down with Coach and hear about the worst case scenario. Hear about how to protect yourself. Hear about the insurance. I want you to have that. But if all you're doing is watching him, I'm telling you, you're going to be deceived, because all you're going to be consumed about is the worst case scenario and the big bad boogeyman, aka the state, aka your woman screwing you over. You got to hear that.
And this is when I don't know if things are getting heated, folks, because now it seems like he's kind of going at Coach Greg Adams a little bit.
Balance. You got to hear the best of stories. I remember Patrick Bet-David, shout out to PBD, said, I would love to hear do a debate. On one end, people who've been married, happily married for 40 years, a beautiful marriage, and then the guy who's been in the worst divorce in human history. And then let the people hear both of the stories. And that's what I'm talking about. There's also good. There's also good that happens. There's horrible, but there's good. We need to share both stories.
But here's the thing, though. People who've been married 40 plus years, that's the past, bro. We're increasingly getting to a weird time. 2022, we got weirdos coming out here, bro. Like the girls are weird, the guys are weird. Like everybody is becoming a weirdo. If you don't believe me, go turn on TikTok and find out. A lot of people just find it easier to air out their businesses on social media than to just have friends. Most of them don't even have close friends. They're not even close with their families. So the trend is going worse. Okay. So when you comparing marriages from people who are married for 40 plus years, relationship was different 40 years ago. Relationship was different 50 years ago than what it is now. Okay, that's why I think that you're not your parents, you're not your grandparents, nor are you your great grandparents. You're not gonna have the same relationship they had. Okay, especially in this new day and age with the kind of influences going on out there, it's not gonna happen, buddy. So marriage is one of those things that a lot of men really have to think about, and it's not one of those things that I would even say in this day and age it's even worth recommending, especially you not even having a prenup, my boy. Like, you don't have a prenup. You know, like, we are in the most indecisive age where we got a bunch of people who don't even know what they want to be, what they want, right? It's a weird stage in life right now. A lot of people are. So it's not, so you sitting there having a person who's married 40 plus years versus a person who's had the absolute worst situation. Either way, you're getting biased perspectives, okay? Because a 40 plus year person is never going to understand what it's like dating today. They're out of the market for a reason. They're out of the game. That's what I'm saying. What I said earlier at the start of the stream. I think that if you're married, I think you should be talking. Your rhetoric should change towards, learning how to, engage in your relationships and keep your relationship long lasting and healthy. But you should get out of the singles market, because not only your mindsets are going to change, but then you're going to start getting very, very emotional and defensive for no reason. I mean, and we're starting to see that come out in Hafeez a little bit, right? I think in a way, married guys, as soon as you get married, you're out the game. Go start talking to married people. Leave the single people alone. Let them deal with the guys who are still in the market, or guys who were married, now divorced, and are still in the dating world. But if you're married, get out of the game, bro. Go talk to other married people. Go stay in your own lane, because you're in a different lane now. But if you're like, because I think that your opinions is just gonna be work. It's just gonna be fucked. That's what I think. But let me know what y'all think in the chat. Maybe I'm wrong.
And my biggest problem is when we spend all day long, most of our time, because there's a profit model in it. And I shared to my guys in the Standard the profit model in it. CNN doesn't share anything positive about Donald Trump. Why? Because you don't make money that way. If I'm doing content on internet, I don't make money talking about healthy marriages. Who wants to watch that crap? Know how to make money? Crazy, delusional women screwing men of their money. Clicks, views, CPM through the roof. I know how it works. I can show you for days. I can pull up my analytics. I know how all this stuff works. And so my biggest thing is that if we're going to have a conversation, we need to have a holistic conversation for the benefit of men. If we are saying that what's wrong in society is too many men being raised without their father, I want every man, even the nihilistic red pill dudes in the comments, I want every single man to have an ability to raise his son in his home. That's how I was raised. That's why I was made the man I am today. I had an amazing father who was able to raise me in his home. I want every man to raise his son in his home. And I want to give you every tool possible to be able to have a healthy marriage, to be able to be a father who's present. And so my biggest thing is all we're talking about what's wrong, especially in the Black community, all that's going to lead to is more single moms, more broken homes, and more of the same BS is going on today. And to me, I'm sick of it. I want to move forward in society.
So is that essentially your biggest problem with the red pill community, is that it's all negative, it's all
Adam,
insurance, it's all what could happen bad?
And they have to be real. There's an incentive structure for it. I shared some of these people these numbers. I'm going to share some of these numbers with you. I did a video because it's so funny, because the red pill community, those kind of guys, they're so fickle, and they love you when you bash women, but the moment you share any objectivity, showing both sides, now all of a sudden they're demonizing you, right? So it's very interesting that I do videos that are critical of modern men and modern women. I try to be as balanced as possible. I know for a fact my content will be weak if it's imbalanced. So I like to do as balanced as possible. I did a video a couple months ago called the Why Women Today Are Not Marriageable. I did that video talking about some of the principles that I believe are true, why women have issues, and we can go on that for days. That video did over 500,000 views in 2 weeks. I did another video called The Sad Reality of Beautiful Women, talking about how sometimes attractive women have an air of entitlement about themselves that makes them difficult in relationship. Another video, 500,000 views. The reality of the matter is, in that month alone, I told the guys in the Standard, I'm just being transparent and honest, with those two videos, and then Candace Owens coming on the podcast talking about the problems of modern women, we made $55,000 that month. 55,000 is doing a few videos. And I know almost everybody in the space. Everyone shows me their money. And I was making,
god damn. Is that how much Candace Owens is making for y'all? Hey, we're talking about 55K in 1 month. Hey, Candace Owens, listen, I love you, baby. Come on over here. Let's talk about modern women all day. I need 55K right now. Make me a great value man. Holy fucking shit, dog. Damn, in 1 month. Most people don't even make that in a year. You telling me that shit? Wow. Hold up. Maybe I should start hustling y'all. What the fuck? Maybe I should get on a modern woman trope, right? 55. Hey, Candace Owens. Listen. All right, hit us up in the email. Okay, it's going to be in the description. Okay, and in the bio too as well. We would love to have a modern woman conversation. I need me some 55K in a month. All right, god damn. But guys, I want you guys to read between the lines here, okay? Because listen, on the surface, yeah, you can look at what Hafeez is saying currently about the red pill and what he's saying about like different types of content style, right? How more people graduate to one style of content versus the other, right? The wholesome kind versus the the negative shit. When he's got a point, right? Negativity sells on the internet. Let's just be real. Sex sells on the internet. Drama sells on the internet. Negativity sells on the internet. When you come up here and you talk about wholesome shit, a lot of people aren't really going to vibe to that. And I'm sorry, it is what it is. People come up here to be distracted by debaucherous and just crazy dramatic shit. You know, that's what the internet is for. That's why we're all so addicted to it. Positive stuff no longer gives us dopamine anymore. We're too far gone as a species, bro. You just got to understand that the era is different. And when you read between the lines of what Hafeez is saying, essentially, there's a level of envy and jealousy underneath what he's saying. Now, you guys might be saying, yo, Duke, what the fuck are you saying? Jealousy and, envy? No, here's what I mean, bro. Like, this guy has always been talking about positivity, and although he's a little forceful with his message, right, he's always been about that type of vibe. But you notice that ever since the red pill shit started to take off, the fresh and fit type of OnlyFans women being in front of you, the whole let's talk about modern women, let's gang up on the whole women talking, because the red pill, it's all about women, and he has a point. A lot of dudes talk about women a lot. That's why I think it's listen, ladies, I love you, but I think y'all are boring. Like, I don't want to sit here and talk about y'all all day. I would rather have a channel clowning a lot of these idiots than just sit there and talk about women on there. And I would create another channel to go talk about the serious shit that the real niggas want to go talk about. Link is in the description. Go ahead and hit the like button on your way there too. Tomorrow's conversation is going to be a very interesting one. The New World Order, check it out. But that's the thing, all right? You create a whole different channel for that. You create a whole different space. But a lot of times, if you want us to be successful and you want to eat, you got to follow the program, bro. And a lot of these guys, listen, we're in the simp economy, Hafeez. Okay, you can't deny this anymore. Like, nobody can. We're officially in a simp economy, and the rise of lonely men is still gonna keep going up, and the rise of simps and incels are still gonna go up. All right, it's just gonna be a thing. All right, I'm sorry. All right, so if you want to be successful, you want some of that simp money, you gotta follow the program, bro. You gotta be either be a channel about drama or turn into a channel where you talk about women in a negative light. And that's entirely up to you. Like, you can go the positive route, but your views are still going to be the same, right? And it's hard, right? Because you've been at this YouTube game for a long time. You see young cats like Fresh and Fit coming up, right? They're not really having wholesome conversations. Matter of fact, they're actually out here scamming some of these dudes. I haven't heard anything back from the 100K party. Y'all ever heard anything back? Those people get their money back? I don't think so, right? So Fresh and Fit, they out here, they were scamming people, putting women in front of faces, and just really generally getting guys addicted to smut, right? And here they are outpacing their roommates in their views and their channels, and they've been around for a very long time. The same thing with a lot of these other red pill content creators that pop up out of nowhere. They come up here, they talk shit about women, or they say things a lot of these simps like to hear, especially it's more like, the lack of holding men accountable type shit, right? And they blow up. But welcome to the space. This is where we are. All right. Either take it or you leave it. All right. But you getting mad and frustrated. At this point, the only thing you can talk about is the messaging, but you got to keep at what you keep at. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what he's missing out on. And he's getting frustrated, right? Because the views aren't the same. And it could be frustrating. It is. When you're trying to bring positivity, but nobody wants to watch it. It says more about the audience than it does about the content creator, but I get it. But you could tell he's getting amped up. Like, he's getting really amped up in this conversation. And I don't know, bro. Honestly, this isn't the conversation I don't feel he should be getting amped up about. But then again, this is a little bit much than usual.
Making the least of what everybody else is making. But when I do the other content, Adam, the more balanced content, there's not clicks in it. There's not views in it.
What type of content?
Like let's say if I was do a video about, hey guys, here are signs, like let's say 5 things to pick in a wife. Those kind of guys don't want to hear that. They want to hear 5 things wrong with women today. That's what they want to hear. They want to hear more of the negative stuff. They want it reinforced. Like CNN. Like CNN does not want to hear 5 things great about Donald Trump. Hell no. CNN don't want to hear that. Give me 5 things wrong with Trump. And so to me, when you're doing balanced content, even when you're doing male improvement stuff, because I think there's a difference between real male improvement, because it has to improve the lives of men. Fitness, emotional health, spiritual growth. When you're doing that, that don't get views. And dudes in my comments would always talk about this, that dang, the girl stuff gets 10x the views of the male improvement stuff. And also when Fresh and Fit will tell you the same thing when they do their finance stuff. They've always told me, I don't know if things have changed. They've told me when they do finance, dudes don't watch that, but they want to watch the girl stuff, right?
Well, and look at the girls that they have, the Fresh and Fit. You know, I've talked with them and I told them I would love to do a one-on-one, but I'm definitely the exception rule, so I'm not great for that. But they bring girls on there that are very.
I don't want to make it about Fresh and Fit, because nothing but respect. I don't like to criticize anybody who's not in the room. I was just bringing them up about the point of they told me when they do finance, the other guys don't watch them. So my thing is that there's not a financial incentive. So if you're a content creator, Adam, and I'll give you an example, and you know if you do this type of content, you're making $50,000 a month. You do the other, you make 6. Which one are you going to lean towards?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So as a content creator,
well, I think that's false, because here I am. I got a whole channel here clowning, you know, content creators that are, you know, espousing horrible ideas. I did it for the money. I mean, I make about what, $100 a year on YouTube, like, because I'm not in it for the money. My passion is about just genuinely being out here and not only just exposing some of the bullshit that comes out of the mouths of some of these people, right, but also making sure a lot of young men are aware of it, right? And to me, going into it, it's not about the money for me. So this is where I think, Hafeez, we know, like, we see your true intentions, right? You're frustrated. You're not, the money isn't in good, wholesome content. It's fine, right? Neither is in money is in content that we do. But like, now it has to come down to why you're really here, though. Like, are you really in it to help men, or are you getting frustrated because you're not making as much money doing the content you would much rather be doing, right? It's okay if you want to go to the dark side of Hafeez. It's okay. Every once in a while, somebody's got to make that decision. If you want to go ahead and, you know, move on to the dark side and start doing a Fresh and Fit thing. I mean, you kind of did. You know, you started having interviews with girls and shit on your platform after Fresh and Fit started taking off, and now you randomly bringing up Fresh and Fit in this video. I mean, come on, bro. Like, let's just be real. I mean, I'm on point here usually, but I'm just saying my boy has a little bit of a envious competition with Fresh and Fit boys. That's for sure. But there's a thing. You have to be willing to go over the downside. And and that's the problem with Hafeez. Hafeez has a lot of pride. I don't know. I think he's Nigerian. Correct me in the chat, right? I think he's Nigerian. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. But like, that's the problem, guys. Your pride gets in the way, right? Because you can tell he has a lot of pride in what he does, where he's like, no, you guys should watch the debaucherous shit that I want to watch, and y'all should. I want to make $55K in a month like I used to with Candace Owens again. I want to go back to that $55K a month. Y'all need to come watch this shit. It doesn't work that way. If you want to keep that kind of revenue stream going, you have to go towards the dark side. I mean, it is what it is. You have to be honest about that. And you being honest, meaning that you're doing this for the money. Let's just be real, right? Because if you weren't, then you'd be like us, who we're not making money off this shit. I'm just out here spending my time talking to y'all. And most of y'all on screen, but I appreciate y'all being here. I'm not making off of this. My money is made offline. I make money in my world. I make plenty enough. Okay. So as a matter of fact, my real world job takes me away from my YouTube stuff. Okay. So I mean, it's a lot over there, but like, that's the thing. I make majority of my money on offline world, and I make enough of it where I don't feel the need to come up here and try to sell y'all anything or be a grifter, right? So that's the thing. If you're doing it because you want your views to start making you that same amount of money you used to make, you have to be honest with yourself. And I think there's something in his pride that doesn't want him to make that switch to all right, let me just do this and do this for the money. All right. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with my assessment. I may be wrong in my assessment. I'm just saying, because we're all content creators here, and I'm a content creator. If I want to do this for the money, listen, I know I'm a charismatic guy, okay? And I know that I can be pretty inspirational if I want to be, guys. So if I wanted to, I could drop this whole thing, right, and start espousing Kevin Samuels' talking points. I could study that shit, eat that shit up, and then come out with a whole new channel like Sneeko did, and then just start espousing Redpill stuff. And I guarantee you I'd be freaking good at it. And I also guarantee you I will gather a shit ton of simps, a huge army of them, and I'll just create some kind of course or program and get them to buy in it. And if I didn't have a soul, I wouldn't give a fuck. But the thing is, I don't want to do that because to me it's weird. And the thing is, I don't need YouTube money because I make enough in the real world. So that's the thing. That's a big difference. So Hafeez, we know you just got that. I don't know if you got that new apartment. You got married. I know the YouTube money isn't coming in as it used to, you know, unless you go to a dark side. So you got a choice to make. You can just sit here and be mad at all these other red pill guys like Coach Greg Adams who are just trying to get to the money, and all these other guys who are trying to get to the money, promoting all these other content creators that shouldn't be leading certain spaces. Then you gotta jump to that side. Otherwise, if you want to be good, you have to be good for the virtue of being good and understand that you're not going to earn anything out of it. There's no money coming out here from being real with people. People don't like that shit. So make up your mind, bruh. What do you want? You want to be real or you want to be fake? Hafeez. But stop with this, you know, bullshit. Come on, man.
Who, like, this is the first time we're meeting in person.
Sure.
But you strike me as a person who's just telling it like it is, based on your life experience, okay? You don't seem like the type of person who's like, well, I could say this for clicks, but this does better. Right. But there must be a little bit of element in that, maybe how you do thumbnails or titles.
Absolutely.
So Hafeez is speaking very impassionately, making some very valid points.
That's what he's talking about is absolutely true. But what we have to understand is when you're doing content, you have to kind of pick a lane in the genre. I mean, if you go to OnlyFans and you start wearing a mother gown, you ain't gonna get no click.
Hey, there's a market. There's a market for everything.
There's a market for it. I know there's a market for it, but I don't see you doing that tomorrow. But the reality is this: I have 12 YouTube channels. All right, and not all of them are this content, and it is true. Those channels struggle if I'm doing something else. But that's the reality of the situation.
It's facts.
It would be like. I love the example that he gave. You wouldn't sell a house like this. Of course, no wise salesman would give you the negatives. Yeah. They would tell you something in order to make the commission. So in essence, he's shooting himself in the foot. But on my side, I have to keep a lane and make sure people understand what that is. Of course, if I crossed over and I brought balance, sure, it might fall flat on my audience because they may not be interested in that. However, I'm going to say this and I'm going to add this. Many times, if I brought on a female content creator and sat down and had an interview in a one-on-one, most of the conversation, if we did bring the balance, will start leaning over to her. And people know this. They watch television. They see movies and stuff like that. Every 1 point that they would make towards a man to get him to pay attention, they'd have to make 5 or 10 points for the woman. So it's kind of like, hey, CGA, you raining down on their head over here today. And then they would tell me to back off. All right, come on, man. We can't let them feel a certain way. And that's kind of just how it works. So I have to stay in that lane and be honest to my approach. The minute I bring it over to
So what he's basically saying is when I have a woman on, not only do I get more views when I talk to her and make her see the reality of certain ways, right? But it's obvious how certain things play out with the content creators. Basically what he's saying here, not content creators, the people who watch it. Basically what he's saying here is the more real he is with the women he has on the show, the more the audience like it, right? But obviously he's good enough, and this is what I appreciate, right? He's good enough to not be too, crazy. And Hafeez, I seem to think I recall a couple of videos where you tried to what was it? Is that pepper soup? The pepper soup, right? you were running that for a bit, and you were kind of indulging into those kind of behaviors too, where you go at the women, right? But you go at them in a way where it attracts a lot of red pill attention. You see what I'm saying? And this is what's so freaking confusing, man. Because it's like Hafeez, right? He like I wouldn't say he's been a blue pill guy, but I would say he has a lot of blue pill tendencies. But he tries to make it in a red pill lane, if that makes sense, right? Because he tries to do a lot of red pill shit. Let's just be real, right? The very same shit he's complaining about right now, he also has tried to some degree. Okay, maybe it's not the point of like guys like Coach Greg Adams or whatnot, but he's done that too, right? But I just think that, listen, bro, just realistically, if you really want to help men, just keep a lot of women out of the conversation. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, keep them out of the conversation, right? Because even you said it, Coach Greg Adams. You got to tailor your voice in a certain way. You got to tailor your strategy a certain way when you bring a woman on, right? So why are we doing that? Why don't we just take it out back to the old barbershop days, but it's online now? We just talk to the men, right? Because that's the problem. We're introducing all these distractions into the red pill that doesn't make any sense. Okay, we're introducing all these distractions. I think to a certain point, that's what Hafeez is getting at. But I think he's also, there's a little bit of undertone with what Hafeez is getting at too, because I think Hafeez, where he's coming from, there's a little bit of jealousy in that. And the reason why I think there's jealousy is because Hafeez is also guilty of trying those exact same Redpill tactics. So I don't feel bad for that nigga at all, because like you had that pepper soup, and I remember that one video where you were going hard at that one woman, and it seemed like you were really just going hard at her for it's like, damn, bro, like chill, like why, like Hafeez, relax, okay? So if he hadn't have done that and he was keeping things fresh, right, and he was just keeping it straight up where he was just him and Chris talking to the boys, that's fine. But he switched up when Fresh and Fit blew up. Let's just be real. He switched up. He got the girls involved, right? It became him, Chris, and a few girls. That was it. He was doing that, and then got the pepper soup, right, when he was trying to do the whole Kevin Samuel stick. So come on, bro, you missing with that bullshit. I get it. I get it. We're all y'all grifting. Y'all is. So listen. I'm just saying, bro, the way the red pill is nowadays is just, it's just not what it used to be. All right. So y'all got to pay attention on both sides, if that makes sense. I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
The other side, then the other side's going to lean. And I'll just add this. If I really wanted to make money, I'll be out here praising the woman. I'll be out here uplifting the woman. I'll be a millionaire.
I think it goes back to personal accountability too, though. People consume. If you're going to sit there and consume.
No, Coach Greg Adams, realistically, he's right on that sense, but he's also wrong, because you can make money in both ways. Like, this is what I'm talking about. You can either go the blue pill route, the full blue pill route, and be a Derek Jackson, or you can go the full red pill route and you could be like an Andrew Tate or Fresh and Fit, right? But either way, at the end of the day, at both extreme ends, they're both making money. Okay, whether on the Derek Jackson end of things, where they're getting tons of money from incel females or females who dream of having that perfect guy that almost never exists and will cheat on you. I'm sorry, ladies, okay? That perfect guy, Derek Jackson, he don't exist. Even he proved that he was a liar, okay? So don't blame me, all right? And then you got the Andrew Tates of the world, okay? He's still going to make money, but it's going to be from a lot of dudes who want to get Bugattis. I'm sorry, y'all not getting Bugattis, especially some of y'all incels out there, all right? So we got incel females on one hand and incel males on the other hand. Either way, they still making money. So that's where I disagree with the coach, okay, where he's saying if I really want to make money, I go blue pill and talk about women. No, you can do that route, but you're making money and you're just fine exactly where you at talking to this incel, because I'm not going, let's not forget, you just said you just advocated for prostitution, my nigga. Like, we didn't just forget that. You said it was okay sometimes for men. You said it was easier for men to rather just pay for sex than to because they want to be, because they're missing intimacy in their marriages. So if they're missing intimacy in their marriages, how are they gonna find intimacy paying for sex? Paying for sex is transactional. You see how those two ideas, Coach Greg Adams, don't make no fucking sense, bro. Okay, I fuck with you, I respect with you, but like, you can't just say it's easier for men to pay for. I don't appreciate advocating for prostitution. I would much rather. It's not healthy in the end of the day for men or women in that case. Okay, so I'm sorry, I went too far in, but
consume the same content.
That's their thing.
Personal accountability. I consume content that I generally align with, but I'm also very wise enough to know I should also consume content that counteracts with what I believe, because otherwise then you never learn. And I think I don't think there's anything wrong with staying, like you said, in your lane. You got your niche, and that's kind of where you
choices. And one more thing, if people wanted to watch finance, if I came on and I do some finance related videos, but I don't have a finance degree, I'm just offering advice. If people want that, there's how many billions of YouTube channels out there? They can find somebody else for that. And that's probably why my finance video won't get clicks. They know my lane and they'll want to hear this information.
People need to make sure they're having accountability.
Well, to circle back to what he says, I love how passionate you are, bro. Life is all about balance. Okay. If you're living in echo chambers, if you're an extremist to any, and whether it's politically, whether it's financially, whether it's romantically, any sort of extremist has major blind spots. So striking the balance, whether it's the East and West, whether it's the pros and cons of marriage, I think is important, and it's a very nuanced discussion. A lot of people, this is the way it is, it's black and white. Like Ali mentioned, there's a lot of gray area in all this. Let me move on to the next topic. Nat, do you want to weigh in here on any comments you want to super chats, or should we wait a second?
We can wait. Let's get some questions. I know we have a lot of super chats that are comments. I want to get some.
Because to me, like one of the things I'm obsessed with, and Dr. Peterson talks about this so well, is that the more your words are in line with the truth, the more powerful those words are. And I don't know where you are, if you believe in God or not. I don't know who kind of person you are, but like when you line your words up with God, Like, that's when, to me, your words have the most weight. Dr. Peterson, that's why I feel like he's so powerful. His words transcend humanity and it speaks on this divine level. And so to me, when you're giving advice, your advice has to be as in line with what God believes the world should run as possible. And so to me, the best advice benefits men and benefits women. That's the best advice. To your opinion, we have 70 years of advice only benefiting women and men suffering as because of it. That is a lie. That is wrong. And the opposite extreme is wrong as well. A world where it all benefits men and the women don't benefit is wrong. That's why it's about the balance. And so to me, I'm very curious about, I love her questions because it was like, it's not a gotcha question. It was a genuine, serious question. Shout out my guy, AMS. I love AMS. He did a video about, advice I would give to my daughter where he actually answers the questions directly. And so to me, I'm very interested in those questions because like when I would watch Kevin Samuels and God rest the dead, and it was so powerful because he would always push women to being married because he knew the beauty and the value and the protection and the safety, like being a woman and being married. Nobody wants their daughter to be 41 years old, single, baby mama of 3. Nobody wants that.
But that was the other thing I disagree with Kevin Samuels. Like, listen, like you can push married all day long, bro, but still the kind of people who are listening to that shit are the kind of people who already made their choices, bro. Like it's a wrap. Like, I mean, some of them are just trying to find simps because that's who a lot of them are looking for, just one that could take over. So even with him, because even Kevin Samuel, he said like 6 months. What is 6 months? Like what? You know, somebody in 6 months you getting married? That's a recipe for disaster. Listen, I'm telling y'all right now, we're going into a new day. This whole thing we're talking about marriage and all that shit, that's for the birds now, bro. Like you just talking at this point, bro. Like ain't no person thinking about that right now, bro. Like relationships and building strong foundations, fine. I completely understand that. But when you're talking about like marriages now, bro, without acknowledging realities, it's for the birds, bro. Like, let's just be real. Like 6 months or less, that's not the way to go, right? See, that's why I agree with Coach Greg Adams. And I see where Hafeez is coming from, but like in the end, we're heading to a situation where there's gonna be a lot more singles out there. There's really nothing you can do about it. It's a prophecy written in stone. We can't stop it. We can only just observe it.
That for the daughter, especially if they want kids. So to me, I think the part of the conversation needs to be: is this information benefiting both human beings? When you're on Team Men, it only needs to benefit Team Men. If you're on Team Republican, it only needs to benefit Team Republican. If you're on Team America, it has to benefit all Americans. If you're on Team Human, it has to benefit both males and females. So that's why I loved her questions, because I think the best, like I can give my hardcore advice to benefit men, and I know without a shadow of a doubt, the most hardcore advice that benefits men simultaneously benefits women.
One more thing I'll add to that, and I hope I don't mean to offend you. There's no God in marriage in the United States, so that's kind of misleading, and people will find that out if your marriage is destroyed. You go back to your pastor and you say, "Hey, my marriage is being destroyed." He has no power over that because it is a state agreement. So I will bring you back to make sure you understand, and I counsel men. There's no God in marriage. That's been gone. Listen, it was an old idea. It's absolutely gone unless you live in an American South. So most people on the West Coast, many people in the East Midwest, there's no God in marriage. So
we break that down. What do you mean there's no God in marriage?
There's no God in marriage. So people
one of
the things that they will do is they will seek counsel of the church. And then as such, the guys will give them guidance and it will be biblical principle. However, they will say we can't do anything until you sign this state-sponsored agreement with family law context. All right. They're not going to have a Bible in there. They're not going to have a Bible in that divorce court. The judge is not going to ask you, do you like God? And what about God in your marriage? There will be no context to that. And such, what is the overriding principle here?
Does
your marriage is state funded, not God funded?
He just made a random point.
I didn't make it random. I told you that. And it's now offended you.
What did I say?
Hafeez responsible. He just made a random point. Okay, Hafeez. Yo, first of all, he has a point. Coach Greg Adams has a point, right? There is realistically no God in marriage. I mean, there's God in name. I would say that's 100% right, okay? Because it depends on who you are. If you're religious, then yeah, because I've seen some overly religious women, okay? So we see, I mean, go watch any of Kevin Samuels' shows. Every woman apparently is a woman of God, apparently. So everyone that calls in. So I definitely do believe that some of these people believe that God is there. But the thing is, just like everyone else, God is just whenever we need God. Otherwise, we throw God away. All right. So when he's saying there's no God in marriage, it's not like what he's saying is like people aren't thinking about God and the consequences of the holy matrimony. People aren't thinking about that, especially when we're in marriages. We're thinking about our own selfish needs, right? As a matter of fact, throughout our lives, nobody's thinking about God. We only think about God when it's times of trouble, when our life is accosted. That's when we think about God. Like, yo, God, where you at? Like, wow, you think about it. That's when they start praying. Like, people start praying when their lives are in trouble. Other than that, when things are going great, there's no God, right? And even this is what it is, right? So when he's talking about there's no God in marriage and stuff like that, it just means that when people are, let's say, when people are doing adulterous things, or when people are not, 100% living by the codes of the religious version of what marriage is supposed to be, yeah, there's no God in that, right? But then also that doesn't negate the fact that there are certain subsects of situations where there are families that are super into religion. Matter of fact, they're super into it to a fault where it starts to get dangerous for even their children, right? Like some of these Amish communities, for example. We can't say that they don't exist. I would say it's dangerous for their children. I wouldn't say that, but like, let's just be real. Some of these Amish kids that end up like, because I think in the community, when you turn to be an adult, they give you a little moment in time where you can go out into like populated areas and experience the life of being a city person. And then after you become a city person, or not become a city, after you experience that life, you can decide if you want to basically be part of the Amish civilization and follow the faith, or go live and be, by yourself out in civilization. All right. And a lot of times, the people that there's the whole TV show of escaping my Amish life. Right. I mean, you see them kids be talking about, yeah, my life was so strict and whatnot. My parents had me doing this and had me working all day long and all. It exists. Okay. So you can't act like there aren't pockets of people like that. And what about Mormons? Right? I'm not trying to get on. I know, hey, y'all Mormons, I know y'all crazy. Don't come after me. But you go to Utah, them niggas are crazy. Okay. So listen, bro, like there are people out here in subsets of the American population, if we're going to talk about Western civilization, that do take religion very, very seriously in their relationships and marriages. So I don't know, bro. There's just some weird situations going on here.
Offend me, you're just wrong. Let me say what
I'm wrong. Wait. Let me finish. Let me finish. There's no God in the marriage in the United States.
And you can talk. Let me finish.
No, hold for a second.
Let me finish.
Are you going to say there's no God in marriage in the United States?
Coach, finish your point. You're saying there's no God in marriage in the United States.
Correct.
Got it.
That was his point. So now I'm going to talk.
Damn.
So I made a point and I said, if your truth
needed, bro,
aligns with God, that truth is most powerful. That's what I said. If your truth aligns with God, meaning the word that you speak aligns with God, those words are the most powerful. That he made a point saying there is no God in marriage. So first, that's a semantic thing, because God is everywhere. Whether God chooses to supervene in things or not, I will never be the person that says God is.
I know, but we're talking about marriage, though. It's God in marriage, and a lot of times it's only after you leave the altar that God disappears. Okay, God's usually not in the marriage afterwards. So you extrapolating that to all is crazy. You guys notice how heated this shit's getting right now? This is crazy to me.
Is not here. I will never be the person that says God is not present here. Could we argue that is God blessing every American Western marriage? Of course not. Of course, God is not blessing every American, but God is definitely in my parents' marriage. So when you say there is absolute statements, there is no God in marriage. False. Correct. There is no God in some marriages. There is no God in most marriages. In regards to by being there, no God, meaning that God's not blessing it, right? So if you're saying that God is not blessing what's happening in most marriages, that is a true statement. But to say there is no God in marriages, period, that is a false statement, because God is in my marriage and God is also in my parents' marriage. And
Hafeez, calm down, bro. Calm down, dog. Jesus Christ.
Continue to say, when it comes to even understanding the ideas of God, God gives human beings free will. It's a very simple concept. You can freely sin or you can freely obey. And God, like a good father, if you want to touch the stove, you can touch the stove. And so to me, I just think when people make statements like this, how do you expect people to feel? There is no God.
Anybody to feel. I want them to know. I want them to understand. We want them to know. We can't feel anything.
I'm talking, and then you get the opportunity to talk. So to me, it's how do you expect people to react? And so my biggest thing is that what I'm only communicating in regards to the marriages is that if you are a man, do your due diligence. Be able to see if she fits your life. Be able to see what is her family background. You can't protect yourself 100% from business failure, from friendship failure, from anything in life. But there is wisdom, there is godly principles that you can adhere to that can benefit you. But there's no absolute guarantees that everything in life will be successful. No one's teaching anybody.
But and I'm not the most religious person here, so let me just give that disclaimer out there. You either,
right,
but
yeah.
How I feel like God is all faith. So I believe in this, and no matter what you tell me, you're not going to convince me otherwise, because this is what I believe. I'm sure that there's tons of marriages out there that they believe they go to church every Sunday, and then next thing you know, they get divorced, and God was in their marriage. So I'm just trying to establish what a godless marriage is, or God-filled marriage is, like how that genuinely.
I think that's the problem. That's where they're having that disconnect, because I think where Coach Greg Adams is coming from is that there is no God when in reference to the holy matrimony when the divorce court happens, because the woman isn't as sympathetic or even thinking about God when she's, you know, taking everything from you, or at least half of your shit, right? There ain't no God in that. That's what he's talking about. Hafeez is basically saying, well, you know, in a religious sense, there's God everywhere, and you know, in marriages and my parents' marriages and things like that. And I understand there's a disconnect there in the conversation. So Hafeez technically isn't wrong, right? He basically came to the same conclusion that I came to, basically saying there's God in some marriages and there isn't God in most marriages, right? Like even the OnlyFans woman on that stage, she don't believe in God, but she's married, so there's no God in her marriage. And I know the God, God, it definitely ain't watching. Maybe I don't know who's watching that shit, but like that's the thing, right? So that there's a nice little disconnect that these guys are having. It's not saying that either one of them is wrong. It's just that they're both at 50%. They're both missing something. Okay, that's the big deal right now.
Curiosity, like how that works, because he's saying no. I think what Coach is basically saying is like, look, I don't care if you're going to church every Sunday or not. At the end of the day, your marriage is between you, your significant other, and the state.
Here on earth.
Forget about it.
Not in the clouds. And
that's what he's. That's essentially what he's saying.
A question, or
no, I'm just bringing this out to the panel.
What we tell people is that hope is not a strategy. All right, hope is not a strategy in anything. I hope my business goes well. I hope I don't get injured today. I hope I succeed today. We tell people real life principles. All right, we don't live in the clouds. We live here on earth, whether you believe this is heaven or hell. So I want you guys to understand you're dealing with earth here. This is a reality.
Are you a believer?
Absolutely not.
You're not a believer of God.
No.
Okay, but obviously, Hafeez, you are.
Yeah. And
Were
so
you ever a believer?
So how can you say that?
Here's the deal. What tends to happen is people are introduced to things based on someone else's biases. Okay, and those biases are introduced to children and so forth and so on. So yes, at some point, that was the only story I knew until I investigated on my own, decided as a man what principles to stand on, and then realized I don't live by hope. I don't live by hope. I live with what's real here. Okay. And let's talk about what's real instead of the mystique of this damn thing here. What's real is hope is not a strategy.
So if you don't,
I love it.
I agree with him, right? Hope is for those who fail to plan. I understand that, but you can't disregard faith at all. Especially, I'm not talking about faith like FATE. I'm talking about faith, like your faith in a deity, a faith in a God. Because realistically, religion is an intrinsic part of us, bro. Part of why the world's going to hell is because we replace God with the government. Right. The thing is, there's no, and the thing is, the idea of religion, although the message has been bastardized over the years, it was a centralized idea to give people a belief structure to go ahead and, you know, not only live their life by, but also view the world by, right? Be kind, be nice to others, treat people how you would like to be treated, things like that, right? And it introduced the concept of consequences, heaven and hell, right? Because, you know, if you're a good person, you're gonna go to heaven. If you're a bad person, you're gonna go to hell. That type of stuff, right? It was supposed to be that. We needed that going through. Not saying necessarily right now, but I'm gonna tell you right now, there's a lot less religion and there's a lot more craziness going on in this world. I hope you understand that, right? With the decline in religion, I'm talking about the different. It doesn't matter what type of religion it is. Globally, there's a big decline right now. People are disregarding God. They're throwing away their faith, right? And guess what? What are we seeing now? We're seeing more hedonism. We're seeing more debauchery. We're seeing more adultery. We're seeing the promotion of just a whole 3 or 4 culture, right? The men over here in the red pill, a lot of them are promoting being slut chasers. They want to go ahead and either go overseas and get the box, or go ahead and stay here and get the box. Coach Greg Adams is advocating for it, right? Like, or whatever the hell it is, right? They either want to be box chasers, or the girls, they want to be OnlyFans or 304s, right? Or we got one on the show, right? So it just letting you know where we're going. So listen, there's no denying that once the decline in the belief structure, whatever religion that may be, the moment that start to decline, especially in the Western world, we saw an increase in just crazy, debaucherous, hedonistic culture, right? We're promoting toxic shit, right? That's what Hafeez is talking about, right? Because we don't have a belief structure anymore, right? Toxic shit on the internet prevails. You understand that, right? So I don't think, even just watching this, I don't necessarily think that Hafeez is wrong, but I think that they're both missing they're both missing both halves of the pot. Okay, so I think Coach Greg Adams has come from a place where he's probably an atheist, right? Where he's like, I don't believe in nothing or whatever it is, God, whatever it is, but even then, I don't think that's the way to go, because I used to be an atheist. And then at some point in time, when I was at the lowest point of my life, I realized, bro, even if there isn't something out there, I needed something to believe in. I needed to have faith, because truth is, bro, when you're rock bottom by yourself, bro, and it's hard when it's all on you. I don't think people really understand that. When you're a rock bottom and you're by yourself, it's hard to just have it all on you. Sometimes even though you know that you're alone and nobody else got your back, it's somehow nice to believe that there's at least something out there that at least is watching over you, right? That's something that certain people need to have, that extra push to keep going. So you can't doubt that, right? And I'm just speaking for myself. I just know that, like, realistically, that's when I decided to find my rediscover my faith. I rediscovered my faith when I was rock bottom. When I was younger, I was like rah atheist type shit. So I'm not saying that, like, just because, like, you're atheist, you know, you believe that you have the full answers, because I used to be there until I said, you know what, maybe it sucks just going through this by myself. I'd like to believe that there's someone out there. I like to believe that there's a higher entity out there. Maybe it doesn't have my back per se, but, like, you know, something to put off a lot of the pressure I feel in life, right? And at least if I'm going to shoulder it, a lot of the shit as myself as a man, I need an overall structure, overall guidance structure to move me throughout this life and to help uplift me and motivate me when I'm down. You guys got to understand, a lot of this shit that these red pill guys spill, if you read the Bible, it's there. The Bible is the original red pill message. You guys have to understand that. The Bible tells you a lot about female nature. The Bible tells you a lot about male nature. The Bible tells you a lot about corruption, greed, all these different things, politics, the nature of man, the nature of beast. The Bible lets you know, even the nature of temptation. Even if I don't want to get too preachy. I don't want to get too preachy. I'm just saying that if you want to talk about original red pill, that's what it is. So when I hear atheists like Coach Greg Adams, I'm not saying he's an atheist, but he said he don't believe in nothing. You got to understand that, like, you yourself are not 100%. You yourself are not 100%.
Can I address it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So first and foremost, like I said, it's very interesting. I've always told you got to hear someone's background, and then you know where they lean. That's where you know where their advice gears towards. So it's such a even when I talk about God, like the idea of God in his brain is not the idea I'm talking about. It's an interesting verse in the Bible. I won't get too lost in the sauce in the book of Isaiah, where God is somebody's like farming. And he's talking about the intricacies of farming. And he says, even that wisdom comes from God. God is not the God of get married happily ever after. That's foolishness. Is God gives you wisdom. What is the wisdom? Actually do premarital counseling. What is the wisdom? Actually be able to decide.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You seem to not pick up that wisdom into getting that prenup, because the Bible talks about that shit too as well. And you fucked up. You don't have a prenup right now. So I don't even know why you're talking, but I digress. Listen.
Okay, if things don't work out, what are we going to do? Where are the kids going to go? What's the money going to go? Things don't work out.
That's what a prenup does. And you didn't do that. You didn't do that.
Who's going to be the primary breadwinner? Who's not? God gives you the wisdom to be intelligent, to be able to navigate. Hope is not a strategy. 100% right. Hope is not a strategy. But God's message is not just simply blind hope. It's wisdom. Literally, Jesus said, be as wise as a serpent, but as innocent as a dove. You have to understand what does a serpent do? He's able to navigate on this earth. So 100% right. No one's teaching hope as a strategy. That's a straw man argument. But true godly wisdom is relevant. True godly wisdom is what made Adam a millionaire. True godly wisdom is what made Patrick Bet David build this amazing company. It's actual practical step.
No, that was multi-level marketing.
By step guidance that benefits people's lives. So no one's talking about hope being a strategy. Simply pray to God and your marriage is going to work out. That's foolishness. What did I say? Naivete, nihilism, realism is in the middle. No one's saying being naive. So when I'm talking about godliness in marriage, those are certain principles and wisdoms. Is it going to be that if you follow God, you'll never get a divorce? No. There's nothing in life where nothing bad is going to happen. You can do everything the right way and the wrong thing can still happen. But does that mean you do things the wrong way? Absolutely not. And so my biggest thing is that we need to give men as much practical wisdom, and women as well, give them as much practical wisdom that can build a healthy, successful marriage. When he talks about don't get married without leverage, I guarantee if he expounds upon leverage, those are all godly principles. Those are all biblical principles that what he's going to describe in what he defines as leverage, being masculine, you know what I mean, protecting your assets, all the things he would describe as leverage, that is godly wisdom.
But you're not doing that. You currently don't even have protection for your marriage. You don't even have a prenup right now, dog. So, like, even the same godly shit that you're spitting, you don't even have them same protection for yourself. So I think this is where Hafeez is kind of wrong, because you're getting emotional, bro, but you yourself not even practicing what you're preaching right now. So that's where I'm like, you lost me. Like, y'all, Chad, he lost me a long time ago when they asked him if he had a prenup and he said no. All right. And he gave zero explanation on why he didn't have it. He said a whole lot of nothing on why he didn't get a prenup. And now you're over here having a religious argument about how God is in the Bible to protect myself. And you still over here getting married under God and not protected. Like, well, like, I don't get it, bro. Like, if you're going to preach marriage and a protection for men, you should at least have a prenup, bro. Like, let's just be, I rock with you, but I don't rock with not having a prenup, bro.
He may not view it as godly because his view of God is just some old white men in the clouds telling you to simply just do whatever you want, right? But to me, true godly wisdom is relevant, it's practical, it improves lives, because like Jordan Peterson said, it's in line with the truth. And if you're in line with the truth, they can give you the best case scenario. Not a perfect life, but the best life.
You should have been a preacher, brother. You could have killed that thing. I appreciate that. Let me ask Ali a question. You said, are you a believer?
I've never been exposed to religion,
so you're not in religion whatsoever.
I don't want to.
So I'm gonna frame this. I don't want to be inappropriate. You don't believe in God. However, you are married for the past 22 years. So you're in a, I'm just going to use air quotes, godless marriage, right? You also
I wouldn't call it godless.
Okay. You also do OnlyFans. So there's going to be possibly people on this panel that are going to say you're sinning.
I respect that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Again, zero judgment here. I don't give a shit. I've dated an OnlyFans girl. I've dated girls who go to church. I'll date all your girls. I don't give a shit. Okay. I'm human. So when you hear God, no God, sinner, OnlyFans, work, marriage, let's just say, God's looking down, and let's say Ali and Steve are married for the next 50 years. They have this amazing, beautiful marriage. They've got kids. They've made millions. She's blessed the world with kids and grandkids, and they've been married forever. Amazing. And at the same time, OnlyFans and coveting other, everything that kind of goes with that. Like, how do essentially, I'm asking Hafeez this, but I'll let you answer first. How do you grapple with those two polarizing opposites?
I would say our home life and our family structure. I do believe in the nuclear family. I believe in, a husband and wife. And I think there's probably quite a few godly principles in our home and the way that we feel that are morally and ethically the right way to do things. That's not come from any exposure to religion. It's just what I personally believe is the right way to do things and wrong. And I grew up in a crap home, crap parents, terrible life. And my husband, same thing. So we didn't really have anyone to mold or model that off of. But I would say our home, it definitely runs that way. For me to balance the two, a lot of people are fascinated by my story because of all the money I make and yada yada and what I'm doing and how do I do it. I'm always more fascinated by how am I the exception to this, right? Because how does a healthy marriage, because I would consider my marriage healthy. We have a great family, we raised our children, everything's wonderful. How does this even intertwine into our life, and how do we manage it? And how does my life is it still so normal family in a way? I mean, behind what we're doing behind closed doors is what we were doing anyway. We just have a camera now.
No. See, here's the thing. I think you're just cheapening it, because at the end of the day, you're OnlyFans woman. All right. Or I don't know, whoever you're doing content with, but like, when I don't know how old your kids are, they sound like they're young from the way you're describing them, or you guys sound like you have a relatively young family. I would describe it as such. But like, here's the thing. When your kids grow up and they can easily find your shit because you're making all this money on OnlyFans, that does something to them. That does something to them. And over time, it's going to do something to the man that you're married with right now. So I guarantee you, I get it. Your marriage right now for the time being is healthy, but don't sit there and act like you were some kind of exception to the rule. Okay? Because at some point in time, that dude will feel a little salty, because he is, at the end of the day, sharing this woman with the rest of the world. And we're not even talking about the complication that's going to come with the kids and what they have to deal with, because at the end of the day, lady, it's not about you. It's going to be about those kids who have to deal with the bullies, because kids are savages out here nowadays, right? They got to deal with the bullies that are out there. They're going to be parading your butt ass naked all over the school. And guess what? Their daddies are going to be watching, and their mamas are not going to be proud that their husbands are watching you on OnlyFans instead of fucking them. So they're going to feel jealous and pressure your kids to leave certain schools if you don't keep your life private. See what I'm saying? So not everything needs to be on camera, and don't be so confident in where your relationship's heading. I hope for you the best, but if we could look at what happened to Maya Khalifa, okay, we could just set that as an example. And you're the OnlyFans equivalent of Maya Khalifa, because apparently you're very popular in the OnlyFans world. She was popular in the porn world. So the outcomes are still going to be the same, more or less.
But I'm more interested in that aspect and the psychology of it, because I think I don't, like I said, I can't really label my principles in our household because I don't have a religion and I don't oppose to anyone. I just always live my life by what I feel and what, my husband and I, what we feel is the right way to do things. And I think a lot of people get really hung up on labels and got to do this. Well, there's these, and I've never wanted to live that way and I never have. And so for me, I feel like I am my own religion.
Okay.
And that's just the way the principles that we've.
Well, I think what's so interesting about your story is that it's hard to pin you down. It's like, well, women need to be, obedient and subservient to their husbands. You're like, well, I kind of am. I'm a house,
That's what we're doing together,
right? And women need to be sexy for their husbands. Well, every day, baby, right? And women shouldn't do OnlyFans. It's like, well, I do, and I make a lot of money from it, but I'm also married, so it's like, it's very hard to pin you down and say, well, you should do this. It's like, well, it's working for me.
Oh, and a lot of people say, oh, yeah, she has no education, she'll go broke. It's like, I have a doctorate degree. Like, I'm an incredibly intelligent woman. I've done my career. I was in the medical field, and I weighed my options at that point. And of course, a lot of it, I was pushed out of the situation. Unfortunately, I'm not going to play a victim. I seen your show about OnlyFans and victims. And I don't play
Hafeez or Coach.
Coaches. You had an episode on that about OnlyFans girls playing the victim when their stories come out. And I had a very viral story. I certainly don't play the victim, but I do feel that I was obviously pushed out too early from what I wanted to do. I was very.
You would still be being a nurse right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I literally graduated the same month that they let me go. Like, I got my doctorate degree. I was going on to do nursing research. So for me, I think a lot of people look at that and to me,
you one of these professional turned OnlyFans thoughts, huh? Like some of these teachers, right? Y'all notice some of these teachers that get fired because the principal finds out that they're doing OnlyFans, and then they go on TikTok complaining that they got fired because they got an OnlyFans. You're one of them. Okay, like what is this? What am I listening to? Like, who is this? This is why when we start to have these kind of people platform, listen, you're on your way to get a doctorate. It sounds like you blew it. It sounds like you blew it doing OnlyFans. And I guess to you, it makes more sense because you're making more money. So at the end of the day, you're winning in your view. But you still blew it with the doctorate. Or did I not hear you properly? Hold on. Let me phase this back.
I've never wanted to live that way and I never have. And so for me, I feel like I am my own religion. And that's just the way the principles.
How are you your own religion? Make that make sense.
Well, I think what's so interesting about your story is that it's hard to pin you down. It's like, well, women need to be, obedient and subservient to their husbands. You're like, well, I kind of am. I'm a house,
That's what we're doing together,
right? And women need to be sexy for their husbands. Well, every day, baby, right? And women shouldn't do OnlyFans. It's like, well, I do, and I make a lot of money from it, but I'm also married, so it's like, it's very hard to pin you down and say, well, you should do this. It's like, well, it's working for me.
No, and a lot of people say, oh, yeah, she has no education, she'll go broke. It's like, I have a doctorate degree. Like, I'm an incredibly intelligent woman. I've done my career. I was in the medical field, and I weighed my options at that point. And of course, a lot of it, I was pushed out of the situation. Unfortunately, and I'm not going to play a victim. I seen your show about OnlyFans and victims. And I don't play
Hafeez or Coach.
Coaches. You had an episode on that about OnlyFans girls playing the victim when their stories come out. And I had a very viral story. I certainly don't play the victim, but I do feel that I was obviously pushed out too early from what I wanted to do. I was very.
You would still be being a nurse right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I literally graduated the same month that they let me go. Like, I got my doctorate degree. I was going on to do nursing research. So
so she didn't blow with the doctorate degree. She got her doctorate degree, but she did OnlyFans, and then they kicked her out because of her OnlyFans. So you blew it still. You still blew it. Like, that, I mean, I'm not, listen, you make your money, honey, like, do what you want to do, but don't I mean, Coach Greg Adam was white. I mean, you're playing the victim. Like, you chose to do OnlyFans. Like, I mean, that's on you. And, companies have a right to respond. So when you sit there acting like there's no consequences, there's real world consequences to working in sex industry. I mean, let's just be real. Like, there's alienation. So that money, it's not going to last, and you don't look like you're getting any younger, honey. Like, you got to realize that what's going to happen when all that stops, right? Is the man going to pick up the slack? Like, what's going to happen, right? So we got to think about this. I mean, you got a doctorate, but you're a famous OnlyFans model, so now it's going to be tough for you to get a job because people are just going to see you as a distraction. I mean, this is a weird double-edged sword that people put themselves in. I don't get it, bro. Like, all these professionals, all these teachers that are coming out with the OnlyFans account, like, what is going on in y'all lives? Like, what is happening? Like, it seems like every day there's just one of these stories where, like, some teacher or some professional woman is fired because they found her undercover OnlyFans. Like, I don't get it. Like, are y'all starving out here in these professions or what?
For me, I think a lot of people look at that, and to me, it's just more I'm really interested in how that shift happened. But people think that we have some chaotic life at home and like things are just running wild, swinging from ropes. And I'm like, it's a very, very normal household, and nothing has changed except there's a camera.
A very unique situation.
Very unique.
Go ahead. Final word for you, and then we'll move on to the next topic. I
course.
sent you a clip that I sent you on.
No,
Tyler.
I think to me, like, kind of even hearing what she was sharing. Obviously, I disagree with some of the OnlyFans stuff. It's my personal opinion. Who cares? But it's like there's certain principles that I consider godly principles that if you implement them, your relationship will be successful. If you're forgiving, if you're kind, if you're servant-hearted, like there's just certain things that, like I said, it's like no matter, these are what I consider godly principles. So if you're choosing a partner, because you asked about what leads to divorce, I guarantee when you find out what leads to success, forgiveness, right? Servant-heartedness and gratitude.
Shut the fuck
right?
up.
All these.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Hey. Hold up. Hafeez, you sound like a panda bear, bro. You're sounding a little panda bearish right now. What do you mean? Well, first of all, listen, to success is not forgiveness. I know a lot of successful people who are ruthless and unforgiving. Matter of fact, to be a successful in business, a lot of times you got to be ruthless and unforgiving. I mean, that's just how it is. Like, matter of fact, Hafeez, you own a business. I'm not saying that you're a ruthless and unforgiving person, but I mean, you got to compete against other people within your industry, right? So to a little bit, to a certain extent, you have to be shrewd, right? You got to turn you got to be a little bit mean, right? So I mean, come on, let's just digress. But come on, bro, like forgiveness is not a key metric of success. Okay, that's even the Bible doesn't even talk about all that. It seems like when his perspective, it seems it doesn't seem very grounded. When I hear Hafeez talk, he's saying a lot of things that almost like it's ungrounded. Like almost it's no different than them people that believe in chakras and shit, right? The spiritual rocks, right? It's no different. It's all that ungrounded thing, right? It's all just aloof, floaty, cloud-like. My head's in the cloud, everything be all right type shit, bro. Hafeez, at some point in time, you gotta be real, dog. Like forgiveness, nah. Even the Bible says the Bible talks about not forgiving sometimes. Like there's certain passages you can find about that. So it's not all about forgiveness and turn the other cheek. Go look at the Old Testament. I mean, listen, when people talk about some of these New Age Christians, y'all forget about the Old Testament. That was a real thing. Okay, you will find a very unforgiving God. Okay, and he listen, if you don't follow the rules, he'll fuck you up. Matter of fact, there's a reason why the New Testament had to become a thing, because God or Jesus, the flesh form of God, had to come down and say, you know what? All right, listen, we got to make sure that Pops don't come back, because when Pops come back, it's shit's going to be hell. Okay, so I'm here to help y'all, focus and get yourself right. But even then, Jesus was ruthless. All right, let's just be real. Okay, he Jesus wasn't playing around when it came to his religion. Okay, when he came to when they set up what do you call it, gambling sessions in the church, and Jesus came in there and threw all the bitches out, right? Kicked them business people out, those gambling people and those debauchers. Jesus wasn't playing. All right, so when you talk about forgiveness to success and whatnot, sometimes you got to have a little edge to you, bro. This aloof, high in the sky, groundless thing. So sometimes you got to get down to reality. Okay, you got to be a little ruthless. I mean, I don't get it.
These are godly things, and if a person has that, I think you'll be able to have a healthy relationship in the long run.
Have you always been a man of faith? Or you were raised that way?
No. I was raised that way, but I became a Christian, which is interesting enough. I wasn't raised in the church. People think I was raised in the church. No, I came to believe as an adult male on my own, studying the Bible, studying the Word of God, and like to me, the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because God is really real to me, and I respect how you feel, but like I know. It's like if someone has never experienced love, there's no way you can convince them that love exists. If someone has never experienced God, it's like God is just an ethereal thing that grandma told you back in the day to make you behave yourself. Yeah. So God is extremely real for me. I experienced God in 19. He really transformed my life. He's why I'm even here today.
What was your aha moment
Man, I think to
realize God was in your life?
Long story short, like when I realized he was in my life, I think when I was 19 years old, I wanted to play college football. I was playing college football. I was a typical college football player. I was finally getting girls at that time. And then I just realized that, man, like I realized that my entire life I lived for me. And then I realized there was something greater than myself. And then like I realized if I followed God, like it could totally transform the way I lived, and especially for obviously what Christ did on the cross. And so to me, when I became a believer, everything changed. I got smarter. People are like, oh my gosh, you can talk so well. I wasn't always like this. Like when I actually became a believer, that's when I got smarter. That's when I got more intelligent. So to me, all of this, like that's why God is so real to me. Because I know the reason I'm sitting down here talking to you and having this amazing conversation is because of God. And so I understand where he's coming from.
I want to believe his come to Jesus moment, literally, but like there's something just off about that, right? Well, you're just 19, and one day you were like, my life would be better if I just followed God. And I mean, I'm not saying that people listen. I don't know, because usually when you're an adult and you start to follow Christ, right? Usually you have to be in a really fucked up spot. But you said at that point you were a college athlete and you were finally starting to get girls. So I mean, you were kind of getting what you wanted. So were you living a debaucherous life and you felt bad because you were getting all this box thrown at you because you were a baller, right? Or I'm so confused. That doesn't seem very convincing. It seemed like you just like picked up a book, read it, and it convinced you. I'm glad you turned to the faith, but like, I mean, to warrant this amount of passion, it just doesn't seem as convicting. I mean, like I said, I converted officially when I was an adult, or I passed the age of 18. Okay, and the reason why was because my life was not doing well, okay, and I was alone, and I didn't want to be alone anymore, okay, so I turned to God. And when you start turning to God in those moments, it seems a little bit more genuine because you actually feel it. But if you're just talking about, well, I was in college playing football, getting girls, and then one day I just decided, my life would be a lot better following God, I feel you, and I get it, but like the other people who can also go without, right? So that's what I'm saying, like, what's warranting this elevated level of passion? Because like I know God-fearing folks that are not like, they're not like this, like with religion and shit, right? I'm a God-fearing guy. I'm a Christian, bro. Like I'm a baptized Christian. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, but y'all wouldn't even know it with the shit that I say, because it's not my job to push religion on you. I don't give a fuck what you believe. I believe what I believe, and I'm gonna just go my own way. It's not my job to tell you about the good word. It could be other people's jobs. That's not this channel. I could talk about Bible reference, but I'm not here to get you into a religion. But like, I don't know, bro. There's just something about that story that's just off. Maybe I'm nitpicking. I don't know. Maybe I might be. But,
from that, because God is not real for him. Obviously, his life experiences has shown him otherwise. But I'm just really passionate about it because I just want people to experience the best thing possible. And for me, if it's God, I want other people to experience it as well.
Coach, final word on this entire conversation. You can wrap it up, and then we're going to go to play this clip. You got that?
What particular part? What do you want
Just
to talk about?
you're not a believer whatsoever.
No,
Okay.
I respect everybody's belief system. I've taken a lot of classes and understand the world is very, very large and vast. People have a lot of belief systems. So, my biases about my spirituality is going to be kept at home because this is a journey and walk that I would have by my own. I don't go out and preach to other people about how they should live because in their world or their neck of the woods, that's just not the reality. So I just leave that and respect people's position on it. And there ain't no need to argue it because we all gonna find out one way or another. When that bill told, you're gonna find out one way or another.
Way to end that one. That's that. Boom. Short clip. Done. Nat, I put a video up there. This is Coach.
All right, and that's pretty much it for that, guys. That was pretty much that was pretty much the whole shebang there. You saw the little tat that Hafeez went at with Coach Greg Adams, and it was just a battle of like basically beliefs. All right, and it was I would say it was a mini meltdown that Hafeez had because he literally came off very, very, very like he's just too intense with it, and like, a lot of the things when he was just going off, it was just like, bro, you got to chill out. And again, we didn't play the full live stream, so y'all can go ahead and check it out. Valuetainment, Valuetainment Money is what it's called, which is weird that we're talking about dating on a money show. We got to revisit some values there. But yeah, other than that, Coach Greg Adams, definitely, there was a whole, I played the disrespect that happened, and we're actually going to play a little bit more of that because Coach Greg Adams ended up going on the lead attorney and talking about how, like, even behind the scenes, backstage, shit was just kind of off with, Hafeez, and, there's a lot of stuff going on with him in the background, right? And, some of it could be because, maybe because he's married, or maybe because, he may have some kind of undercover beef with Coach Greg Adams, maybe a little envy. I don't know. We don't know. But here's, we're going to play a little bit of what do you call it? Coach Greg Adams' response to it. Again, that little tit for tat that they went in, it was pretty crazy, but not any too wild, but definitely wild enough for like Hafeez and like what we're used to so far, right? But like, let's finish up their conclusion. Hold up. Let me pull that video up real quick.
Year, I guess I first heard about him when he did the interview with Kevin. And then I saw he did an interview with Rebecca Pope, and then he did an interview just recently with AMS. And I reached out to him about a month ago to congratulate him on that. He's like, "Oh man, shout out to you. You know, AMS is one of the OGs, so you know that's awesome." But I, you know, and this is kind of my fault reaching out to somebody. I had never sat down and watched an episode. I just saw who he had on his guest.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, you know, people don't realize as content creators and producers, we don't get a lot of time to watch, and consume. I always try to tell my audience, they're like, "Did you see this? Did you see that?" I'm like, I'm on live 6 hours a day some days. So how in the hell I'm gonna be watching videos in the middle of being on live? So we kind of miss people coming up underneath us and gaining big audience and tractions. All of a sudden I look up and they're like, "Oh, this person," I'm like, "They got 100,000 subscribers. Who are these people?" So I think for him, I really never watched this show. I did watch his interview with AMS, and that's where I put the comment in, and that's what he was referring to. So that comment must have got a lot of likes or something. And I think
I'm missing. I don't know the comment. Can you tell us about?
I think the comment was, Hafeez is distracting. You know, I was like, his energy is distracting. He's not letting AMS get into work. Get in his words. So that was on the AMS interview. And I rarely comment on stuff, but I commented from my main page because I know AMS. We've done probably 2 or 3 live streams together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shout out to AMS.
Yeah, shout out to AMS. So yeah, man, I never shied away from doing interviews with people that people think we're beef.
And you guys notice at the start of the show, like Hafeez did make a reference to like that interview. So this may have been where that beef started. Coach Greg Adams may have set that off with that comment he made. And that's why Hafeez was snubbing him backstage, because he felt slighted with that comment saying that Hafeez was dominating that interview. Did any of y'all see that interview with not Coach Greg Adams, Hafeez and AMS? Was that a good interview? Is that something that we should cover? Should we cover that? Like, what do y'all think? Was that, because that seems like what set everything off? It seems like, because you guys understand that when Hafeez went to the show, he what do you call it? Coach Greg Adams felt snobbed. So I don't know if that's where it started, but that could be a possibility.
Most of the time, we agree 90% of stuff, and I thought I would agree with Hafeez 90% of the time based on what I knew of him. But I think he's on a mission for some other reason that we don't know yet. On a mission, he's trying to change something. People are saying he changed from blue pill to red pill or vice versa. I don't think that's it. I think there's something else he was attempting to do, and it's not going over well.
Do you think it's kind of like media related, or like with the opportunity or something like that?
It's an opportunity. There's an angle or something he's trying to hit, but he's not expressing it well. Like he's not making the point. It's incomplete. It's like an incomplete thought. The only thing he can say is red pill guys need to bring balance, right? We heard that like 50, 11 times.
Yes, it was like it was all of the balance. One side over here, one side over here, the east over here, the west over here. Like he talked for 20 minutes and he could have said one word: balance, right?
Balance, and then we would have moved on and we could talk about something else. But he was trying to figure out how to complete that thought, which made him ramble. That's what I'm thinking. And so he's trying to angle something, and I can't figure it out. But I think it's failing. It's failing, and he's looking bad. And I think the next worst thing he did was try to go in on just Pearly Things, who's a pretty, she's pretty calm, cool, and collected for the most part. I don't see her as an agitator, and he tried to embarrass her. So here we are.
And Pearly Things is the interview that we're gonna cover, because I thought that was actually I think that was a little bit more damning than the Coach Greg Adams one. But I digress. So we're gonna cover that one next. Not right now, because it'd be a long ass stream. But like we're gonna cover that next. But other than that, like I don't know, man. It seems like, here's the thing, bro. I think Hafeez, the reason why a lot of this stuff doesn't seem as though that it's like, it doesn't seem as though it's genuine, is that Hafeez, although he's always been that kind of blue pill-ish kind of guy, he has dabbled in the red pill, bro. I mean, he's done content with Fresh and Fit. He's espoused a lot of red pill ideas. His little pepper soup idea. Y'all remember that pepper soup show, right? The pepper soup, right? Like, because you have the hot soup, and he would have these people on and he would just grill them. One of them was like a woman. I think it was mostly women, but like a lot of times he would just grill them like he's like some kind of like amped up Kevin Samuels light, you know what I'm saying, with the suit and all that shit. So he used to do a lot of this red pill shit, and then all of a sudden now he's then saying this, right? So that's why it's coming off to a lot of the guys in the red pill space, like Coach Greg Adams. You got guys like Lead Attorney, O'Shea Duke Jackson. They're saying, well, listen, you're coming at this at an angle, bro. Like, what's your deal, bro? What are you trying to do, man? You got something happening. What's your angle? And I think maybe, just maybe, listen, at the end of the day, what do I think about this, right? I think Hafeez is finally coming to a sense of understanding of what we've kind of been saying this entire time. That you know, this red pill shit, once you get into the grift, eventually, bro, if your heart's not in it, it'll get to you. It'll get to you, bro. You can only be espousing these talking points that you don't believe in for too long before it gets to you, right? I'm telling you, majority of these guys are grifters, right? Like even Hafeez, he grew. I wouldn't say he's a grifter, but he does do a lot of red pill ish content and has a lot of red pill ish conversations. And I think the battle he's having right now is that the red pill conversations that he has does way more views than the non-red pill conversations that he wants to have that aren't getting as many views. You heard it here himself. You heard him say it. He said that his video on Candace Owens talking about women, you know, and what women need to be doing and things like that, all this red pill shit, it made him 55K in 1 month. Okay. But Hafeez, he doesn't want to be talking about women. He wants to be talking about other things too. He wants to be able to do that and still have the same amount of success. But that's the thing, bro. You can't have your cake and eat it too. All right. You got to understand that we're in a different world. People want that red pill shit. We're in a simp economy. If you want that attention, if you want that views, you gotta unfortunately, you know, you gotta be a red pill. You have the talking points. I don't know what else to say. Right, so that's the problem with Hafeez, and a lot of guys in the red pill space right now are looking at this transition that Hafeez is going through right now, and they're saying, "Wait a minute, bro. It seems like you're switching up." And maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I'm starting to feel is happening right now in this space. Right? Maybe we got someone like Hafeez who's sick and tired of this shit and wants to, you know, get off of it. Although he probably hasn't fully done it in the way he wants to, where he wants to be able to, like, you know, what do you call it? I don't think he's really found the right talking points for it yet, too, as well. And I think here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think the reason why is because he's on the wrong lane. And don't get me twisted. I don't really care either way. But I think Hafeez's problem is he's in the wrong lane. First things first, dude. You're married. I think it's time for you to go. If you want to talk that red pill shit, go talk to married people. I think you're in the wrong lane at this point. I think that once you become married, bro, your mindset's different. Your energy is gonna be different. Your thought process when you're talking about God and all that, it's gonna be different, bro. And you're gonna be caping towards a certain team, and that's not the same side that everyone else is on, right? That's why when I think if you're married, go to a different lane, bro. And I think Hafeez, what you're trying to do, bro, you're not in the right lane for. And the next episode we're going to talk about where he's going at pearly things, it proves more of that, right? Like, my boy, you're not in the right lane. I don't think you're in this lane. Like, you got to go talk to married people now. You can't be talking to single people no more, right? And you just getting emotional with all these different things when you're trying to expound your points. It don't make no sense. First of all, go get your talking points in order before you go come out this food, right? Because otherwise you're gonna look crazy. Like, you're gonna come out here looking crazy, right? For instance, if I debate some of these, first of all, a lot of these red pill dudes, they will not debate me, right? Because a lot of the things that I would bring up is just it's how they contradict themselves. Like, for instance, with Coach Gray Adams, right? I would literally force him to admit that he's most likely caping for, because he has an incel audience, a certain set of audience that are incel. I'm not saying a lot because I fuck with a lot of things he said, and I'm not an incel, but I know for a fact that when he's talking about, when he expounds talking points like, oh, it's sometimes guys find it easier because they're not finding intimacy in their marriages to go ahead and pay for somebody. That doesn't make any sense, bro, because by definition of paying for sex, it's not an intimate thing. It's just a transactional occurrence. So it's not intimate. So why would then guys be lacking intimate? That means they never really cared about intimacy. They just want to fuck, and they don't want to go through the process of trying to fuck their wives in a romantic way. So they'd rather pay a hoe. And I'm not with that. So they're valid disagreements, but realistically, bro, like, you know, you can hold these guys to a certain point, and I don't think Hafeez has gotten to the point where he's formulated a lot of the talking point as he's making his transition into the next chapter of his whatever the roommates is going to be, right? So I don't know. And a lot of people in Red Pill, they're feeling that this is a crazy switch up right now. So y'all let me know. What he's thinking. But I think Reckless, you're right. I think Hafeez in his journey to basically do, I think that's part of the problem. He basically exposed himself as a grifter. I mean, I oh my God, that's what I'm saying. It sucks that I'm actually doing this video because it really actually just, first of all, because the money aspect for me, that's what it did for me, right? Because you're talking about why can't I get the same amount of views and make the same amount of money on my positivity videos versus my negativity videos? But it's like, well, then by definition, you're in it for the money. Because listen, I would make more money clowning women and talking about red pill talking points all fucking day, and I'm charismatic enough to do it, right? But there's no money in talking about the truth. That's the sacrifice you made. Like I don't get why this is so. If you're gonna be in this space to talk about the truth, there's no money in it. Like the truth, you can't make money telling the truth. Like I mean, maybe in certain circumstances, but then it's half truths, right? It's half truths. But like if you're telling it the truth, you're keeping it real, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. You're not going to be profitable. That's just what it is. I mean, look at nonprofits. A lot of times nonprofits, their goal is to do good, right? And a lot of times doing good means you're not going to make money. So if you're saying that part of your complaint is that you're not making enough money on the videos about, you know, wholesome content because the guys don't want to watch it, you got to understand, like, is it about the money? Because then you'll just make those content anyways, right? If you didn't care about the money, you'll just make that content, and that little thought process you had, it wouldn't even be something that you'd be worried about. It's like, all right, it is what it is. I say that all the time. I talk about that on the channel all the time, right? We talk about drama a lot here in the time, but when we go over to on my other channel where I'm teaching people how to program, where I'm teaching people, not even just teaching people about politics, we're just talking about politics. We're talking about, we're hosting all these educational tech stuff, right? No one is there. Like almost nobody. Shout out to the real ones that show up, but no one shows up. That's why we do it on the other channel, because we want to keep it to the people who really care about that stuff, not the people who come for the other, you know, fun shit. But that just, we all know that. So for us to complain about that, it's like complaining about why rain is falling. Like it's not for the money for us. It's just to talk our talk, right? And for someone who's as preachy as you, Hafeez, you should understand that. You should understand that, like, fuck it. I guess the money don't, you know, I'm gonna have to make a decision. But it is about the money, right? It is. Let's just be real, right? And on top of that, you're now going into a space where it's kind of like what we're doing, where we're exposing a lot of grifters and we're calling these guys out, and not even just the grifting nonsense, but we're exposing the hypocrisy and then a lot of the red pill messaging. So if you're gonna get into this world, you got to get your talking point straight, my boy. Like you have to get your talking point straight, because we're not mad at the red pill. We don't think that the red pill is crazy, or we don't think that the red pill is filled with a bunch of downers and losers or whatever the fuck it is. No, we don't think that. We think about the bastardization of the message, right? How people are just doing this to sell courses. That's my biggest gripe. Okay, the con men out there, the people who are funneling these boys into worthless courses. Okay, and there's a lot of these guys out there. That's a problem, and that's a talking point. Almost all of these guys, they can't beat you on. Even some of the guys who are liars, and they lie about their past. Some of them lie about being high value, like this motherfucker right here, right? And his daddy, right? When he lies about being high value, when he crafts on people who used to have like drug pasts and stuff like that, disregarding that his daddy used to do drugs, right? You got to understand, when you expose that, these are things that they can't fight you on. They can't fight you on, bro, because it's the truth. And sometimes you get a lot of people who don't agree with you based off of that. But at the end of the day, it is what the hell it is. You got to just go with it. You got to. You know, there's no money in it, and you shouldn't be coming in here expecting to make money. That's just what it is, bro. If you're coming into it talking about, I'm gonna tell the truth, but y'all should watch me. Look at, like, you got another thing coming, bro. But I will tell you this. You will have a lot more loyal followers. That's for sure. You have a lot more people that will follow you because they understand that you stand for the truth. So like Hafeez, man, I think you're going through a lot. And I think part of it is because, you know, again, I think part of it is because you are married. You're coming from a whole different perspective. So I think you're going through a lot. So I think just take some time to chill, because this whole nonsense you did with Pearly Things, it just didn't work out for you. And I think Pearly Things, and I did watch that live stream. I think Pearly Things was being a little disrespectful, because she was like, she and it seems like Like she was just getting ready to like just, you know, I don't know. We'll go over that video. You guys will see what I'm talking about. I don't want to give too much away. But that's another video that's coming up in part 2. But like it's just crazy to me, like how like, yeah, bro, like when you going up against these certain situations, you got to be prepared. Okay. A lot of these motherfuckers are grifters. Okay. Realistically, they are, right? They really are. Okay. And my last point that I'm gonna end in is this whole the way the Black Manosphere is uplifting Pearl. Like, listen, it's weird. Like, I'm not saying like go on, girl, get your thing, but like I find it funny that a white woman is now the king of the manosphere, like, or the Black Manosphere, which you can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up, bro. If somebody told me that one day, bro, like Obsidian and a lot of these other guys who are leaders of this space would say that a white woman should you know, lead the space because she's saying a bunch of talking points we all like, I start to realize that like the whole throw the whole thing away. We gotta throw the whole red pill away. There is something fundamentally wrong, and this is what we talk about. This is the criticism that we talk about. Like the grifting is rotten to the core. It's rotten to the core, bro. Because a lot of the things that Pearl says is no fucking different than what a lot of people say. It's just that there's a woman saying it, and especially in the Black Manosphere's case, there's a white woman saying it. So it's a woman saying it, but it's a woman of another race saying it about Black women or women of other races or of races that are not white. And, you know, for a lot of brothers in this space, that tends to get a lot more attention than having someone like Danica Marie talk about the same thing, because she says the same thing. Why isn't she getting the same attention? Is that, I mean, don't get me wrong, she did for a while, but like, I was just saying, this white love is getting kind of crazy, bro. So I just listen. Y'all think it's crazy? Listen, I'm just saying. Don't y'all find it hilarious that a white woman is leading the Black Manosphere space? I mean, don't y'all find that funny? Like, that's not funny to y'all? Like, I'm sorry. Like, don't that just tell you that there's just something wrong? Like, it's just something odd about this, right? Maybe I digress. That's the point I'm gonna end on. I just think it's weird. I just think that like we're missing the boat. Reckless Gaming says she kind of blew up after KS passed away. Yeah, a lot of, because I told you there was a power vacuum after because think about it, she wouldn't have gotten this big if KS was still alive. No way, dude. No freaking way, because he dominated too much of the market. You understand that, right? He dominated too much of the market. He was this clean-cut guy that say things in a sharply dressed, not sharply dressed way, but a sharply pointed manner that a lot of people could understand and vibe with, right? And not a lot of people were doing that at the time. People were kind of either on the raunchy side or kind of on the, like, you know, solo kind of moving type side. So there wasn't a lot of, you know, things. But like after Kevin Hafeez passed away, there was a lot of opportunity to scoop up fans. Melanie C. King was going for it. Dennis Spurlong, the Dennis Blizzard King, the guy, he was going for it. And for a while, a lot of people made a bag off of this dude after he died. A lot of people made a bag after he died. Y'all noticed that, right? A lot of people did. It just is what he did. So like they made a bag after he died. Like people got the subs and whatever the fuck. But like, yeah, she did blow up after that. I just don't think, like, listen, like she has a, if she wants to be here, she can be here. It is what it is. As a matter of fact, ain't nothing anybody can do about her being here. There's nothing anybody can do. Like, you can't do anything about it. She's got an established audience already. I'm just saying that my gripe is not with her, like in the overall space. My gripe with her, it's not even with her. It's all. It's the fact of the Black Manosphere leaders are uplifting her to be someone to tell Black men about the issues with Black women. I'm just saying, no one else sees anything off with that, or am I crazy? Like, listen, she can talk about, listen, there are a lot of women talking, white women, black women talking about this stuff. We got a lot of women out here in this Redpill space already. We don't like they're all over the place, right? I'm just saying in this particular space, the Black Manosphere, why is she being promoted the most, right? And the problem is, why is she being promoted by most by someone like Obsidian, right? Obsidian, right? Obsidian, need I say more, right? Who, someone like him got mad at Donovan Sharp. He actually did a hit piece video on Donovan Sharp for going after Danica Marie. But then you uplift a white girl that goes after other black women. I'm not saying that she's harsh with it. I'm not saying that she's crazy with it. I'm just saying a lot of her talking points, I'm just saying that they're pretty familiar. You know what I'm saying? So the same way she talks about black women, the same way other you guys get what I'm getting at, right? You see what I'm getting at. I'm just saying. So it just seems a little bit hypocritical from that space. Now, in the greater manosphere at large, whatever. It is what it is. It's like she's just amongst every other woman that comes into space and, you know, grifts and talks about the talking points, makes their bag and leave. But in the Black Manosphere, though, it's just weird that just to see that. I just don't get it. I don't get it, bro. It was weird. I just think it was weird. But that's all I got for today, guys. I appreciate you being here. You can be anywhere in the world, but you could be here right now. Abdu said, what is the name of that? Melanie King. Melanie King. That's her name. Yeah, we knew how much of a friend she was to Kevin Samuels. It was pretty great friends, right? But yeah, this is very interesting. I just find this beef hilarious. You know, Hafeez definitely got in his feelings. For sure, he needs to dial it back. And definitely, it seems like you're coming off as you grifting, bro, because you're over here talking about how much money these guys are making, how much money you're not making. You're over here talking about how you know, like, come on, bro, like we know what this is. You want the views to be there, and you know, for somebody with 500, half a million subs, right? I mean, I get it. The views aren't matching what you want. I get it. I understand that. Anyone can go to your channel and they can look in and say, hey, you know, versus your counterparts, you're not getting the same views. Why? Because you're not on that same, you know, talking points like they are, and it eats you up inside. I get it. But you, sir, have a choice to make, right? Do you want to be wholesome and clean and family friendly and marriagey? Then I think for your channel to grow, you need to preach to a different crowd. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere in the Red Pill space. You're not going nowhere in Red Pill space, bro, because it's filled with a bunch of people who are going to be single for a long time. Some of them aren't even looking for wives, okay? That's why they're going to see you as someone who's grifting right now, because I think if you're going to go in this space calling out a lot of these content creators, right, who are already in here like Coach Greg Adams and shit, you gotta make sure your talking points are in order, bro, because you're gonna sound like you're coming off crazy. But what else? He says, yeah, he did outgrow his subscribers. Commando Master, what do you mean? Do more collab streams. You got this. Who's that? I don't know. I used to do stream. Y'all remember I used to do stream with a bunch of girls and shit. And you know, I don't know. Like I just find it easier to just come up here and talk to y'all. But like, if y'all want more collabs, we can do more collabs. We could do more. I could do more collabs if anything else. I'm slacking on that. The thing is, I'm just so busy in my personal life, bro, and with my work and shit like that. That's why I don't get how you high value men have the time to be on YouTube. Like, I don't get how y'all do it, but like I want some of that. Let me just let y'all know that right now. But it's just finding the time to reach out to those days. Vegas says those days were fun. Was it? I mean, yeah, but like the problem, okay, here's my issue with that, right? Because when we had the girls on and whatnot, I don't know, bro. The whole vibe for me was just different. For me, it was just like, because I felt like, how do I say this? Like, it just detaches from like the message. I just feel like it was like a distraction, and you can't really even have the conversation that you want to really have, because let's say you invite somebody on and like they say something, it's just like, what? Like, that is so dumb. Like where do you get off saying some dumb shit like that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, why? And the thing is, unlike Fresh and Fit and whatnot, I'm not gonna be that person that's gonna be like, oh, you're stupid. oh, you're dumb. What's wrong with you? It's like, listen, I'm not gonna invite a guest just to get rid of him and kick him off and shit like that. But it was just, I don't know, like there were certain things that were off about it. You couldn't really get the conversations were great, right? I thought they were great, some of them, but like it was missing something in my book. I just think so. I think I can get more accomplished just being solo. I mean, I'll do collabs here and there, but like realistically, man, the whole spiel of this channel is for me to just come up here and talk and then get the hell off. That's just me. I ain't come here to preach no message. I don't have anything. I don't have any books to sell or anything like that. I just come here to talk and, you know, go back home and do other things. That's my entire message here. All right, but like I feel you though. If we want more collabs, we can do more collabs. I can set some stuff up. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you being here. You can be anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with us. So I appreciate it. Go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe button, the bell notification, and look out for part 2. And also go ahead and subscribe to my other channel, New World Order. Link is going to be in the description. Okay, we're going to have another programming. I know somebody sent me a message. We're going to have another programming class. I think the week after next week, we're going to make a different program, or probably we're going to build a different application. We're still going to be working with Python, but like we'll set up another one later. But yeah, we're going to have that going on. If you guys are interested in stuff like that, let's go. Join us on the other channel over there. Other than that, we got a couple more topics we have coming out, how we're closer to nuclear Armageddon than ever before. So that's something that I think it's interesting to talk about. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and head on into it. But with that being said, take care, people. Have fun. Happy Halloween. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.